The espresso machine hissed in the corner of Mercy Ridge Medical Center's cafe, but nobody heard it. Two men in tactical jackets, shoulders broad, eyes sharp, the kind of posture that screamed elite, were circled around a woman at the counter. She wore scrubs the color of old dishwater. Her hair was pinned back with a plastic clip that had seen better decades. Mid-50s, maybe older. Pale skin mapped with fine lines, hands steady on a styrofoam cup. One of the men leaned in close. Too close. "Let me guess," he said, voice dripping with mockery. "You played medic in some weekend training camp?" The other one laughed, sharp, cruel. His eyes locked on her forearm. A tattoo, faded. Black ink blurred by time into something almost unreadable. She didn't flinch, didn't speak, just looked at them like she'd seen this exact scene 1,000 times before. That's when the sound started. Low, distant. Engines. Not one. Many. The floor trembled. The fluorescent lights flickered. Outside the glass doors, black SUVs tore into the parking lot like the apocalypse had an appointment. Armored. Government plates. Men in uniform spilling out before the vehicles even stopped moving. Inside the cafe, the two operators froze. The woman with the faded tattoo took a slow sip of her coffee. She didn't look surprised at all. If you want to know what happens when arrogance meets the truth you can't afford to face, stay with me. Watch this story to the end. Like this video, drop a comment with the city you're watching from, and let me see how far this truth can travel. The cafe smelled like burnt coffee and disinfectant. It was 6:47 a.m., and the early shift was filtering in. Nurses, orderlies, a couple of residents who looked like they'd been awake for 3 days straight. The kind of people who kept a hospital breathing while the rest of the world slept. Evelyn Hayes sat at the counter, her back to the door, thumbing through a paperback with a cracked spine. She'd been at Mercy Ridge for 11 years, worked the post-op floor. Quiet, competent, the kind of nurse who didn't need to raise her voice to get a room under control. She wore no jewelry, no makeup. Her scrubs were clean but worn, the fabric thin at the elbows. Her face had the kind of stillness that came from seeing too much, too young, and deciding not to waste energy on anything that didn't matter. The tattoo on her left forearm was mostly hidden under her sleeve. Just the edge of it showed. A few black lines, geometric, deliberate. Nobody asked about it. She didn't offer. The door swung open. Two men walked in. Not hospital staff. Not visitors. Operators. You could tell by the way they moved, confident, trained. The kind of guys who had done time in places with acronyms instead of names. One was tall, square-jawed, blonde hair, buzzed military short. The other was stockier, darker, eyes that scanned the room like he was cataloging exits. They wore black jackets with unit patches stitched on the shoulders, tactical pants, boots that had seen real dirt. The blonde one, call him Garrett, glanced around the cafe, spotted Evelyn, and nudged his partner. "Check it out," he muttered. The stocky one, Voss, looked over. His eyes landed on her arm. The tattoo. He grinned. They walked up to the counter, stood on either side of her. Not threatening, not yet. Just close enough to make it clear she wasn't going to be ignored. Garrett leaned against the counter, arms crossed. "Morning." Evelyn glanced up. Her eyes were pale gray, calm as glass. "Morning. You work here?" "I do." Voss tilted his head, eyes still on the tattoo. "That ink. What unit?" Evelyn folded the corner of her page, set the book down. "Old one." "Yeah?" Garrett's grin widened. "How old?" "Old enough that you wouldn't know it." Voss laughed. "Right. Let me guess. You played medic in some training camp? Maybe did a 6-month deployment to a cushy base?" Evelyn's expression didn't change. "I did what I had to." "That's not an answer." Garrett's tone sharpened. "You don't just get ink like that from handing out Band-Aids." She picked up her coffee, took a sip, didn't respond. Voss stepped closer. "You know what I think? I think you bought that tattoo off some Etsy artist who thought it looked cool. Happens all the time. Civilians trying to look hard." "I'm not trying to look like anything." "Then what's the story?" Garrett was leaning in now, his voice dropping into something harder. Because if you're walking around with unit ink you didn't earn, that's a problem. Evelyn set the cup down, slowly. I earned it. Prove it. She looked at him. Really looked. And for just a second, something shifted in her eyes. Not anger, not fear. Something older, colder. I don't have to prove anything to you. Voss reached out, fast, grabbed her wrist. Let's see it then. He yanked her sleeve up. The tattoo was fully visible now, a stylized eagle, wings spread, claws gripping a shield. Beneath it, a set of letters and numbers, faded but unmistakable. Garrett stared, his grin faltered. That's not fake? Evelyn's voice was quiet, steady. No, it's not. Voss let go of her wrist like it had burned him. A woman at the other end of the café, another nurse, mid-40s, dark hair pulled into a bun, had been watching the whole thing. She stood up, pulled out her phone, and stepped into the hallway. Garrett recovered first. Look, I don't care what some artist tattooed on you. That doesn't make you... Make me what? Evelyn cut him off. Her voice didn't rise, didn't need to. Make me one of you? You're a nurse. I am now. And before? She didn't answer. Voss was getting agitated. This is bullshit. You don't get to walk around wearing that unless you... The sound outside cut him off. Engines. Multiple. Heavy. Evelyn's eyes flicked toward the windows. Garrett turned. The parking lot was filling up. 3 black SUVs. Government plates. Armored. Doors swinging open before they'd fully stopped. Men in uniform. Not hospital security. Not local police. Military. Voss went pale. What the hell? Boots hit the pavement. Fast. Disciplined. The kind of movement that didn't happen unless someone very important had given a very urgent order. Garrett backed up a step. Who did you call? Evelyn didn't answer. She picked up her coffee again. Took another sip. The cafe door swung open. 4 men entered. Uniforms crisp. Insignias sharp. 2 lieutenants. A colonel. And behind them, a general. 4 stars on his collar. Tall. Silver hair cropped close. A face that had seen decades of decisions most people couldn't imagine making. The room went silent. Every conversation stopped. Every movement froze. The general's eyes swept the cafe. Locked onto Evelyn, he walked straight toward her. Garrett and Voss stumbled back. The general stopped 2 feet from Evelyn, and then he did something neither of them expected. He stood at attention, brought his hand up, and saluted. Ma'am? Evelyn set her coffee down, stood slowly. She wasn't tall, wasn't imposing, but the way the general looked at her, it wasn't respect. It was reverence. She returned the salute, crisp, perfect. Muscle memory from a lifetime ago. General Marks. He lowered his hand. I got a call that someone was questioning your service. They were. His jaw tightened. He turned, looked at Garrett and Voss. They were rooted to the floor. You two. His voice was ice. What unit? Garrett stammered. 2nd Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment, sir. And you thought it was appropriate to harass a superior? We didn't. She's a nurse. She's a combat medic. Marks's voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. Black Ops Trauma Unit, classified until 6 years ago. She was saving lives in firefights before either of you were born. Voss's face went white. Marks rolled up his left sleeve. Same tattoo, same eagle, same faded ink. I was one of the lives she saved, he said quietly. Helmand Province, 1989. Ambush. I took shrapnel to the chest. She kept me breathing for 40 minutes under fire until the evac arrived. I owe her everything. Garrett opened his mouth. Nothing came out. Mark stepped closer. You don't question her. You don't touch her. You don't even look at her unless she gives you permission. Do I make myself clear? Yes, sir. I didn't hear you. Yes, sir. Marks turned back to Evelyn. His expression softened. Are you all right? I'm fine, Sam. He nodded. Glanced around the cafe. The staff were staring. Some had phones out. I'll handle this, he said. You get back to work. Evelyn picked up her book, tucked it under her arm. I was planning to. She walked past Garrett and Voss without looking at them. They didn't move. Marks watched her go. Then he turned back to the two operators. You're both reassigned, effective immediately. Sir? Not a discussion. You'll be stationed at the VA hospital in Brenton County. You'll work with the veterans you just disrespected. You'll clean bedpans. You'll change sheets. You'll do it until you understand what service actually means. Voss's voice cracked. For how long? Marks's smile didn't reach his eyes. As long as it takes. He turned to the colonel. Make sure they're on a transport by noon. Yes, sir. Marks walked out. The other officers followed. Garrett and Voss stood alone in the café. The room was still silent. Someone in the corner started clapping. Slow. Deliberate. Then someone else. Then the whole room. Applause. Not loud, not triumphant, just acknowledgement. Garrett's hands shook. We didn't know. You didn't ask. The nurse with the dark hair, the one who'd made the call, stood a few feet away. Her arms were crossed. You saw someone you thought was beneath you, and you decided to humiliate her. Voss looked around. We were just what? Protecting the integrity of the service? She shook her head. You were protecting your egos. Garrett's voice dropped. Who is she? The nurse looked toward the hallway where Evelyn had disappeared. Someone you'll never be. Evelyn walked through the post-op ward like nothing had happened. Checked charts. Adjusted IV drips. Spoke quietly to a patient who was coming out of anesthesia. One of the younger nurses, Rebecca, 26, fresh out of school, caught up to her near the supply closet. Evelyn, what just happened downstairs? Evelyn pulled open a drawer, grabbed a box of gauze. Nothing important. Nothing important? There were generals in the cafe. There was one general, and he's an old friend. Rebecca stared. You were in the military? A long time ago. Why didn't you ever say anything? Evelyn closed the drawer. Because it doesn't matter. It clearly matters to people who need it to matter. Evelyn's voice was calm, patient. I don't. Rebecca opened her mouth, closed it. I don't understand. You don't have to. Evelyn handed her the gauze. Room 304 needs a dressing change. You good? Rebecca took the box, nodded slowly. Yeah, I'm good. Then let's get to work. The morning stretched on. Evelyn moved from room to room with the kind of efficiency that came from years of repetition. She checked vitals on a man recovering from hip replacement surgery, changed a catheter bag for an elderly woman who'd been in a car accident, spoke softly to a teenager who was terrified about going under the knife for an appendectomy. It's going to be fine, she told him, her voice steady. You'll be asleep. You won't feel anything. And when you wake up, the worst part will be over. What if something goes wrong? Then we'll handle it. She met his eyes. That's what we do. He nodded, still scared but less so. She squeezed his shoulder once, moved on. By lunchtime, the story had spread, not just through the hospital, through the city. Someone had recorded the confrontation on their phone, uploaded it. It went viral within hours. Nurse humiliated by Special Forces operators until a 4-star general shows up. The video had everything. The arrogance, the tattoo reveal, the salute. Marks's voice, cold and precise, stripping 2 smug operators down to nothing in under a minute. Comments poured in. This is what real service looks like. They thought they were untouchable. She didn't even defend herself. She just waited. By 2 p.m., the hospital's front desk was fielding calls from news outlets, local stations, national networks, someone from a military podcast, a producer from a documentary series. Evelyn's supervisor, a sharp-eyed woman named Callahan, intercepted most of them. No comment, she said over and over. Ms. Hayes is not available for interviews. One reporter pushed harder. The public has a right to know. The public has a right to basic health care, Callahan snapped. Which means my nurses need to do their jobs without being harassed. Have a good day. She hung up. Evelyn walked past her desk just as Callahan was rubbing her temples. "You all right?" Evelyn asked. "I'm getting a migraine from your fan club." Callahan looked up. "You know they're going to keep calling, right?" "Let them. You really don't care." Evelyn shrugged. "I care about my patients. The rest is noise." Callahan studied her. "You're a strange one, Hayes. I've heard worse." Callahan smiled despite herself. "I bet you have." Evelyn continued down the hall, turned the corner, found Rebecca waiting by the nurse's station, eyes wide. "Have you seen the video?" "No." "Everyone's talking about it. People are calling you a hero." Evelyn pulled a chart from the rack. "I'm not a hero. I'm a nurse." "But you saved that general's life." "I did my job." Evelyn's voice was firm but not unkind. "Just like I'm doing now. Just like you should be doing." Rebecca flushed. "Right, sorry." "Don't be sorry, just focus." Rebecca nodded, grabbed her own chart, headed toward a patient's room. Evelyn watched her go. Then she opened the chart in her hands and got back to work. The afternoon passed in a blur of routine. Medications dispensed, wounds dressed, monitors checked, a code blue in room 41818. Cardiac arrest, an 82-year-old man with a history of heart disease. Evelyn was in the room within seconds, helping the crash team. Chest compressions, defibrillator, 1 shock, 2. On the third, the man's heart kicked back into rhythm. He was stable within 10 minutes. Evelyn stepped back. Let the team finish. Her scrubs were damp with sweat. Her hands were steady. Dr. Patel, the attending cardiologist, glanced at her. "Nice work." "Just doing my job." "You say that a lot." "Because it's true." Patel shook his head. "You're wasted on this floor, Hayes. You should be teaching. I like this floor. I know you do." He smiled. "That's why you're good at it." She left the room, stripped off her gloves, washed her hands, checked her watch. 4:47 p.m. Her shift ended at 7. 2 hours and 13 minutes. She could manage that. But the day wasn't done with her yet. At 5:15, she was passing the main lobby when she saw him. Garrett. He was standing near the information desk, out of uniform, jeans, a plain jacket, hands shoved deep in his pockets. He looked smaller without the tactical gear, younger too, like a kid who'd gotten caught doing something he shouldn't. He saw her, she saw him. For a moment, neither moved. Then Garrett stepped forward. "Evelyn," she kept walking. "Please," his voice cracked. Just give me a minute." She stopped, turned. Her face was blank. "You need medical attention?" "I need to apologize." "You already got your reassignment. You don't owe me anything. I owe you everything." His voice was raw. "I was arrogant. I was cruel. I looked at you and I saw someone I thought I could dismiss. And I was wrong." Evelyn studied him. He looked like he hadn't slept. His eyes were red-rimmed. His hands trembled slightly when he pulled them from his pockets. "You made a mistake," she said. "People do that." "It wasn't just a mistake. It was—" He struggled for words. "It was who I've become. And I hate it." "Then change." "I don't know how." Evelyn's expression softened, just a fraction. "Yes, you do. You just don't want to do the work." Garrett looked at the floor. "I've spent the last 6 hours at the VA hospital. Do you know what I saw?" "What?" "Men and women who gave everything, who came home broken, who get treated like they're invisible." His voice shook. And I realized I was part of the problem. I thought the uniform made me special, made me better. "The uniform doesn't make you anything," Evelyn said quietly. "What you do in it does." He nodded. "I know that now." "Good." She turned to leave. "Evelyn." She glanced back. "Thank you for not destroying me." She looked at him for a long moment. "I didn't destroy you. You did that yourself. I just let you see it." Then she walked away. Garrett stood alone in the lobby, and for the first time in years he felt something other than arrogance. He felt shame. But underneath that, buried deep, fragile, barely alive, he felt something else. Hope. Evelyn returned to the post-op floor, finished her rounds. signed off on discharge paperwork for a patient who'd had gallbladder surgery, restocked a supply cart, helped a new orderly figure out how to log into the digital charting system. At 6:45, Rebecca found her in the break room. "You've got a visitor." Evelyn looked up from her tea. "Who?" "General Marks. He's in Callahan's office." Evelyn sighed, set down her mug. "Of course he is." She walked down the hall, knocked on Callahan's door. "Come in." Evelyn stepped inside. Marks was sitting in one of the visitor chairs. Callahan was behind her desk, arms crossed, looking like she wanted to be anywhere else. "I'll give you two a minute," Callahan said. She stood, walked out, closed the door behind her. Marks rose. "Evelyn?" "Sam." They looked at each other. "You didn't have to come," she said. "Yes, I did. I'm fine. I know you are." He smiled. "You're always fine. Doesn't mean I shouldn't check." She sat down. He did the same. "How bad was it?" she asked. "The fallout?" Mark shrugged. "Those two idiots got what they deserved. Their unit commander is mortified. He's already issued a formal apology, wants to meet with you personally. I don't need an apology." "I told him that. He insisted." Evelyn rubbed her temples. "I just want to do my job, Sam." "I know." His voice softened. "But you can't control what other people make of you. I shouldn't have to." "You're right. You shouldn't." He leaned forward. "But you also can't be surprised when people who know your history react the way I did. You saved lives, Evelyn. Real lives. Mine included. That was 30 years ago. Doesn't make it less true." She looked at him. "You know I don't like this. The attention, the spectacle. I know." "Then why are you here?" "Because I wanted to make sure you're okay, and because—" He hesitated. "Because I wanted to remind you that what you did mattered, still matters, whether you acknowledge it or not." Evelyn's jaw tightened. "I don't need to be reminded." "Maybe not, but I needed to say it anyway." They sat in silence for a moment, then Mark stood. "I'll leave you alone, but if you need anything, and I mean anything, you call me." "I won't." "I know, but the offer stands." He walked to the door, paused, looked back. "You were the best of us, Evelyn. You still are." She didn't respond. He left. Evelyn sat alone in the office. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead. Outside, the sun was setting. The sky was streaked with orange and pink. She closed her eyes, took a breath. Then she stood, walked back to the floor, finished her shift. At 7:02, she clocked out, walked to her car, drove home. Her apartment was small, clean, Spartan. A couch, a bookshelf, a desk with a laptop she barely used, a cat, gray ancient, half-deaf, that meowed when she walked in. "Hey, Oscar." The cat rubbed against her legs. She fed him, made herself tea, sat on the couch with her book, opened it to the page she'd marked that morning, read 3 chapters. Her phone buzzed. She ignored it. It buzzed again and again. She picked it up. 15 missed calls, 23 text messages, most from numbers she didn't recognize. One from Rebecca. "Are you okay? People keep asking about you." One from Callahan. "Ignore the vultures. See you tomorrow." And one from a number that made her stomach tighten. "Unknown. We need to talk. It's about what happened in 91. You need to see this." Attached was a photo, a document, classified, stamped with red ink across the top, eyes only. Evelyn's hands went cold. She zoomed in. The document was a mission report, dated October 14th, 1991. Location redacted, operation name redacted. But the signature at the bottom wasn't. Captain Evelyn Hayes, 3rd Special Operations Medical Unit. And beneath that, handwritten in the margin, survivor testimony indicates additional civilian casualties. Recommend full review. Status, pending. Evelyn's breath caught. She hadn't seen this document in over 30 years. She'd been told it was destroyed. Another text came through. "Someone's been asking questions, digging into old files. Thought you should know." "Who is this?" She typed back. 3 dots appeared, disappeared. A appeared again. Someone who is there. Meet me tomorrow, 10 p.m. Northridge Park, East Entrance. Come alone. Evelyn stared at the screen. Her heart was pounding. Oscar jumped onto the couch, curled up beside her. She set the phone down, stared at the ceiling. The past wasn't supposed to come back. She'd buried it, moved on, built a new life. But the past didn't care what you wanted. It came back when it was ready, and it was ready now. Outside, a car engine rumbled to life. Headlights swept across her window. Evelyn stood, walked to the window, looked out. A black sedan was parked across the street. Engine running, windows tinted. It had been there when she got home. She'd noticed it, dismissed it. Now she wasn't so sure. The sedan pulled away, slow, deliberate. Evelyn watched until it disappeared around the corner. Then she closed the blinds, locked the door, checked the lock twice. She didn't sleep that night. She sat on the couch, phone in hand, document open on the screen, reading, rereading, trying to remember, trying to forget. But some things don't fade. Some things are written in blood, and no amount of time can wash that away. At 6 a.m., she got up, showered, put on her scrubs, drove to the hospital, clocked in, walked to the post-op floor. Rebecca was already there. Morning. Morning. You look tired. I'm fine. Rebecca gave her a look. You keep saying that. Because it keeps being true. Evelyn grabbed a chart, headed toward a patient's room. But her mind was somewhere else. On a document, a signature, a date, and a question she'd spent 30 years trying not to answer. What really happened in 91? And who was about to make her face it? The day dragged. Every minute felt like it was stretching, pulling tight like a wire about to snap. Evelyn moved through her rounds on autopilot, checking vitals, adjusting IVs, speaking in that calm, measured tone she'd perfected over a decade. But her mind was elsewhere, on a document she wasn't supposed to have seen, on a meeting she wasn't sure she should attend. By noon, the hospital felt suffocating. Rebecca noticed. You sure you're okay? I'm fine. You've said that 4 times today. Evelyn glanced at her. Then stop asking. Rebecca blinked, backed off. Okay. Evelyn regretted it immediately. Sorry, I didn't sleep well. It's fine. Rebecca hesitated. Is it because of yesterday? The whole general thing? No. Then what? Evelyn opened a supply cabinet, pulled out a roll of gauze. Nothing you need to worry about. Rebecca watched her for a moment, then she nodded. All right, but if you need to talk, I don't. Rebecca left. Evelyn stood alone in the hallway, gauze in hand, staring at nothing. The text message played on a loop in her head. Someone's been asking questions. Who and why now? She'd buried that part of her life, locked it away, moved on. The military didn't talk about what happened in 91. The mission had been scrubbed from official records. The survivors had been reassigned, scattered, told to forget. And she had, or at least she'd tried, but now someone was digging, and they wanted her to know. She pulled out her phone, scrolled back to the message, studied the document again. The margin note was what bothered her. Survivor testimony indicates additional civilian casualties. She remembered the mission, the firefight, the chaos, but civilian casualties? That wasn't in her report. She'd been a medic. She'd treated the wounded, saved who she could. The rest, she closed her eyes. Don't go there. At 2 p.m., Callahan called her into the office again. Sit. Evelyn sat. Callahan leaned back, arms crossed. You've got another visitor. Who? Says his name's Dalton. Military. Retired. Wants to talk to you. Evelyn's stomach tightened. About what? He didn't say, but he's insistent. Callahan studied her. You know him? No? Oh, you want me to send him away? Evelyn hesitated. Where is he? Waiting room. I'll talk to him. Callahan raised an eyebrow. You sure? Yeah. Evelyn stood, walked down the hall. Her pulse was steady, but her hands felt cold. The waiting room was half full. Families, patients, a kid with a broken arm. An elderly woman hooked up to a portable oxygen tank. And in the corner, a man in his 60s. Gray hair, lean, sharp eyes. He wore a plain jacket, jeans, boots. But the way he sat, back straight, hands resting on his knees, screamed military. He saw her, stood. Evelyn Hayes? That's me. Dalton. Jack Dalton. He extended a hand. She shook it. His grip was firm, steady. What can I do for you? Can we talk somewhere private? She glanced around. Follow me. She led him to a small consultation room, closed the door, gestured to a chair. He sat. She didn't. What's this about? She asked. Dalton studied her. You got a text last night from an unknown number. Evelyn's blood ran cold. How do you know that? Because I sent it. Her jaw tightened. Who the hell are you? I told you, Jack Dalton. I was part of the same unit, 3rd Special Operations Medical. I was there in 91. Evelyn stared at him, searched her memory. The name didn't ring a bell, but that didn't mean anything. The unit had been large. People rotated in and out, faces blurred together. I don't remember you, she said. I remember you. He leaned forward. You pulled me out of a ditch after an IED went off, patched me up, kept me from bleeding out. I owe you my life. Evelyn's expression didn't change. Then why the cryptic message? Why not just come here? Because I needed to know if you'd respond, if you'd still care. Care about what? Dalton reached into his jacket, pulled out a folder, set it on the table between them. About the truth. Evelyn looked at the folder, didn't touch it. What's in there? Documents, mission reports, testimony, everything the military buried 30 years ago. He tapped the folder. Someone's been digging through old files, pulling records, asking questions about what happened in Kandahar province, October 91. Evelyn's breath hitched. Kandahar. You remember. I remember. Then you know what they're looking for. She shook her head. I don't know anything. The mission was classified. We were debriefed, told to move on. And you did. Yes. But not everyone did. Dalton opened the folder, pulled out a photograph, slid it across the table. Evelyn looked down. It was a photo of a village, burned, destroyed, bodies in the dirt. Her stomach lurched. Where did you get this? She whispered. From someone who was there, a local interpreter. He survived, kept records, and now he's talking. Evelyn's hands clenched into fists. Why? Because he wants justice, and he thinks you can help him get it. I can't. Why not? Because I'm a nurse. I'm not... She stopped, took a breath. I'm not that person anymore. Dalton leaned back. You think you can just walk away from something like that? Pretend it didn't happen? I'm not pretending. I'm living. And what about the people who didn't get to live? What about them? Evelyn stood. I need you to leave. Evelyn, now. Dalton rose slowly. He didn't look angry, just disappointed. I'll be at Northridge Park tonight, 10 p.m., East Entrance. He picked up the folder, left the photograph on the table. If you want answers, come find me. None. He walked out. Evelyn stood alone in the room, staring at the photograph, the village, the bodies. She'd tried so hard to forget, but forgetting didn't make it go away. She picked up the photo, hands shaking, and for the first time in 30 years, she let herself remember. The rest of the day was a blur. She moved through her shift mechanically, smiled when she was supposed to, spoke when spoken to, but inside she was somewhere else. Kandahar province, October 1991. It had been a reconnaissance mission, gather intel, get out clean. But nothing in that part of the world was ever clean. They'd taken fire, heavy. The team had called in air support. Evelyn had been treating wounded when the bombs dropped. Too close, too many. When the dust settled, the village was gone. And the people in it. She'd written her report, stuck to the facts, treated the injured, did her job. But she'd seen the bodies, women, children. She'd seen them. And she'd said nothing. Because what was there to say? At 6:50 p.m., she clocked out, walked to her car, sat in the driver's seat, stared at the steering wheel. She didn't have to go to the park, didn't have to meet Dalton, didn't have to dig up the past. She could go home, feed Oscar, read her book, pretend this day never happened. But she knew she wouldn't, because deep down, beneath all the years and all the distance, there was a part of her that still cared, that still wanted answers. She started the engine, drove home, changed into jeans and a jacket, left her phone on the counter, grabbed her keys. Oscar meowed. "I'll be back," she told him. She wasn't sure if she believed it. Northridge Park was on the edge of the city, a sprawling stretch of walking trails, playgrounds, and open fields. During the day, it was full of joggers and families. At night, it was empty. Evelyn parked near the east entrance, checked her watch. 9:53 p.m. She got out, locked the car, walked toward the trail. The air was cool, the sky was clear. Streetlights cast long shadows across the pavement. She reached the entrance, looked around. No one. She waited. At 10:02, she heard footsteps. Dalton emerged from the shadows. He wasn't alone. A second man walked beside him. Younger, Middle Eastern, dark hair, scar running down the left side of his face. Evelyn tensed. Dalton raised a hand. "It's okay. This is Rashid. He was the interpreter I told you about." Rashid stepped forward. His eyes were hard. "You're Evelyn Hayes." "I am." "You don't remember me." "No. I remember you." His voice was cold. "You were there, in my village, when they dropped the bombs." Evelyn's throat tightened. "I was a medic. You didn't stop it." Rashid's voice cracked. "You were part of the team. You were there, and you did nothing. I couldn't stop it. You could have told the truth. I did. You lied." Rashid pulled out a folded piece of paper, handed it to her. "This is your report. Read it." Evelyn unfolded the paper. It was a copy of her official mission report, typed, signed, dated. She scanned the text. "No civilian casualties observed. All targets confirmed hostile." Her hands went cold. "I didn't write that," she said. "Your signature's on it. I signed the report, but I didn't write that line." Dalton stepped forward. "Someone altered it, after you submitted it." Evelyn looked up. "Who?" "We don't know, but whoever it was, they wanted to bury what happened, and they used your name to do it." Rashid's voice was shaking now. 32 people died in that village. 32. Women, children, my sister, my mother. He stepped closer. "And the world thinks they were terrorists." Evelyn's chest tightened. "I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't bring them back." "I know." "Then help me." "How?" Dalton spoke. "There's an investigation, quiet, internal. Someone high up is reviewing old missions, looking for discrepancies. If we can get your testimony, your real testimony, it could reopen the case." Evelyn shook her head. "They'll never listen to me. I'm nobody." "You're not nobody," Dalton said. "You're the medic who was there. Your word carries weight." "Not anymore." Rashid's voice turned hard. "So you'll just walk away again? Let them keep lying?" Evelyn met his eyes. "I didn't walk away. I was told to move on, to forget, and I did what I was told." "And now?" She didn't answer. Rashid turned, started walking away. "Where are you going?" Dalton called. "To find someone who actually gives a damn." Dalton looked at Evelyn. "He's been waiting 30 years for this. Don't let him wait any longer." Evelyn stood in the dark, silent. Dalton sighed. "I'll be in touch." He followed Rashid into the shadows. Evelyn stood alone under the streetlight. Her mind was spinning. Someone had altered her report, used her name, buried the truth. And she'd let them. She pulled out her phone. No. She'd left it at home. She walked back to her car, got in, sat in the dark, stared at nothing. Then she started the engine. But she didn't go home. She drove to the one place that might have answers. The Mercy Ridge Medical Center archives were in the basement, a maze of filing cabinets and storage boxes, mostly old patient records, some administrative files. But there was another section, locked, restricted access. Military records. Evelyn had seen the door before, never tried to open it. Until now. She parked in the staff lot, used her badge to enter through the back, took the stairs down to the basement. The hallway was dim. Fluorescent lights flickered overhead. She walked to the restricted section, tried the door, locked. She pulled out her badge, swiped it, access denied. She tried again, same result. Damn it! She stepped back, looked around. Then she heard it. Footsteps. Coming from the other end of the hall. She turned. A figure emerged from the shadows. Tall, broad-shouldered, familiar. General Marks. He stopped a few feet away, arms crossed. What are you doing down here, Evelyn? Her heart was pounding. I could ask you the same thing. I have clearance. You don't. I need to see my file. Why? Because someone's been lying, and I need to know who. Marks's expression didn't change. You need to let this go. I can't. Yes, you can. He stepped closer. Whatever you think you're going to find, it won't help. It'll just make things worse. Worse for who? For everyone. Evelyn's jaw tightened. You know what happened. I know what the reports say. And if the reports are wrong? Marks didn't answer. Evelyn took a step toward him. Did you alter my report? No. Then who did? I don't know. Bullshit. Marks's voice turned cold. Watch yourself. Or what? You'll reassign me? Strip my credentials? She laughed bitterly. I'm a nurse, Sam. I've got nothing left to lose. You've got your peace. Don't throw it away. I don't have peace. I have silence, and I'm tired of it. Mark stared at her. Then he reached into his jacket, pulled out a key card, handed it to her. You've got 10 minutes. After that, I was never here. Evelyn took the card. Thank you. Don't thank me. Just be careful. He walked away. Evelyn swiped the card. The door unlocked. She stepped inside. The room was small, lined with filing cabinets, a single desk in the corner, a computer that looked like it belonged in a museum. Evelyn scanned the labels on the cabinets, found the one marked 1989 to 1992, pulled it open. Folders, dozens of them, organized by date. She found October 1991, pulled the folder. Inside were mission reports, debriefings, personnel files, and her report. She flipped through it, found the line. No civilian casualties observed. All targets confirmed hostile. Her signature was at the bottom, but the handwriting above it, it wasn't hers. She pulled out her phone. No, still at home. She grabbed a piece of paper, a pen, started copying the text. Then she saw it. A second report, stapled to the back, unsigned, handwritten. Civilian casualties confirmed. Estimate 30 plus. Airstrike called in error. Recommend full investigation. Evelyn's breath caught. Someone had written the truth, and someone had buried it. She flipped the page. At the bottom, in red ink, report classified, do not distribute. Authority, Colonel Vincent Hargrove. Hargrove. She knew that name. He'd been her commanding officer, retired years ago. She folded the report, slipped it into her jacket, closed the folder, returned it to the cabinet, locked the door behind her, walked back upstairs, got in her car, drove home. Oscar was waiting. She fed him, made tea, sat on the couch, unfolded the report, read it again. Authority, Colonel Vincent Hargrove. She pulled out her phone, searched his name, found an obituary. Colonel Vincent Hargrove, died March 2023, survived by his daughter, Sarah Hargrove. Evelyn stared at the screen. Hargrove was dead, but his daughter wasn't. She searched Sarah Hargrove, found a LinkedIn profile, a photo, a job title. Deputy Director of Military Affairs, Department of Defense. Evelyn's stomach dropped. Sarah Hargrove had access to everything, including her father's files. If anyone was digging into the past, it was her. Evelyn set the phone down, stared at the ceiling. This wasn't just about the truth anymore. This was about power, and she just walked into the middle of it. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She answered. Hello? A woman's voice, calm, professional. Miss Hayes, this is Sarah Hargrove. I think we need to talk. Evelyn's blood turned to ice. How did you get this number? I have access to a lot of things, including your father's old files. What do you want? The same thing you do, the truth. And then what? Then we decide what to do with it. Evelyn's hand tightened on the phone. Where? Tomorrow, noon, the federal building downtown. Ask for me at the front desk. And if I don't come? Sarah's voice turned cold. Then the investigation stops, and Rashid's family gets nothing. The line went dead. Evelyn sat in the dark. Oscar jumped onto her lap. She stroked his fur. Her mind was racing. Tomorrow she'd meet Sarah Hargrove. Tomorrow she'd learn the truth. And tomorrow, everything would change. Outside, a car engine started. She looked out the window. The black sedan was back, parked across the street, watching. Evelyn didn't sleep. She sat on the couch with Oscar curled against her side, watching the sedan through a crack in the blinds. It didn't move. Engine off, lights dark, just sitting there like a predator that had all the time in the world. At 4 a.m., it finally pulled away. She waited another hour, then she got up, showered, dressed. Not scrubs this time, slacks, a button-down shirt, a jacket that hid the tension in her shoulders. She made coffee, didn't drink it, just held the mug and stared at the wall. By 6:30, she was in her car. Driving, not to the hospital, to the federal building. She was 3 hours early. Downtown was already awake. Commuters, delivery trucks, street cleaners hosing down the sidewalks. The federal building loomed at the end of 3rd Avenue, a monolith of glass and concrete, flags hanging limp in the morning stillness. Evelyn parked 2 blocks away, sat in the car, watched the entrance. People filtered in and out, suits, badges, the machinery of government grinding forward like it always did. At 8:15, her phone buzzed. Rebecca. Where are you? Callahan's asking. Evelyn typed back, personal day. Tell her I'll explain later. 3 dots. Then, is everything okay? Evelyn didn't respond. She got out of the car, walked toward the building. Her pulse was steady, but her hands felt cold. She'd faced worse than this. Firefights. Triage under mortar fire. Holding a soldier's hand while he bled out because there was nothing left to do. But this felt different. This felt like walking into an ambush she couldn't see. The lobby was marble and steel. High ceilings. Security checkpoint. 2 guards behind a scanner. A woman at the information desk typing into a computer. Evelyn approached. I'm here to see Sarah Hargrove. The woman didn't look up. Name? Evelyn Hayes. The woman typed, paused, looked up. Her expression shifted. Just a flicker, but Evelyn caught it. Recognition. One moment. The woman picked up a phone, spoke quietly, hung up. Someone will be down to escort you. Evelyn nodded, stepped aside, waited. 5 minutes later, the elevator doors opened. A man stepped out, mid-30s, suit, earpiece, the kind of blank professionalism that screamed federal security. Ms. Hayes? That's me. Follow me, please. He didn't wait for a response, just turned and walked back to the elevator. Evelyn followed. They rode in silence. The man stood with his hands clasped in front of him, staring at the doors. Evelyn watched the floor numbers climb. 3rd floor, 5th, 10th. They stopped on 12. The doors opened onto a hallway, carpeted, quiet. Office doors on either side, most of them closed. The man led her to the end of the hall, stopped outside a corner office, knocked once. Come in, a woman's voice called. The man opened the door, stepped aside. Evelyn walked in. The office was large, windows overlooking the city, a desk, bookshelves lined with legal texts and military histories, and behind the desk, a woman in her early 40s, short dark hair, sharp eyes, a face that could have been carved from stone. Sarah Hargrove. She stood, extended a hand. Ms. Hayes, thank you for coming. Evelyn shook it. I didn't have much choice. Sarah's smile was thin. You always have a choice. You just don't always like the options. She gestured to a chair. Please, sit. Evelyn sat. Sarah settled back into her chair, studied her. You look different from the photos. It's been 30 years. So it has. Sarah folded her hands on the desk. I'll get to the point. I'm reviewing my father's old cases, missions that were classified, buried. Some of them deserve to stay buried, but some of them don't. And Kandahar? Doesn't deserve to stay buried. Evelyn's jaw tightened. Then why did your father bury it? Sarah's expression didn't change. Because he was ordered to, and because he believed in the chain of command. Even when the chain of command was wrong? Especially then. Sarah leaned forward. My father wasn't a perfect man, Ms. Hayes, but he was a loyal one. And loyalty in that world means keeping secrets, even when those secrets eat you alive. Evelyn stared at her. Is that what happened? They ate him alive? Sarah's eyes flickered, just for a second. He died of a heart attack, but yes, I think the secrets killed him long before that. The room was silent for a moment. Then Evelyn spoke. What do you want from me? Your testimony, the real one, not the sanitized version in your official report. And if I give it to you, then I can reopen the investigation, officially, and Rashid's family gets the acknowledgement they deserve. And if I don't? Sarah's voice turned cold. Then the investigation dies, and so does any chance of justice. Evelyn looked out the window. The city stretched out below, gray, endless, indifferent. Why now? She asked. Why after all this time? Because someone leaked the original report, the one that was buried. It's making the rounds in certain circles, journalists, activists, people who want to see heads roll. Sarah's voice was calm, clinical. If we don't control the narrative, someone else will. And when that happens, everyone gets hurt, including you. Evelyn turned back to her. I'm not afraid of getting hurt. Maybe not, but are you willing to hurt the people around you? Your colleagues? Your patients? The hospital? Sarah paused. Because that's what will happen if this blows up. The media will descend. They'll dig into your past, your present. They'll make you the story, and you'll lose everything you've built. Evelyn's hands clenched in her lap. That's a threat. That's a reality. Sarah's tone didn't soften. I'm not here to threaten you. I'm here to offer you a way forward. Give me your testimony. Let me handle the rest. And when this is over, you go back to your life. And Rashid? Gets what he's owed. Closure, an apology, maybe compensation. Whatever we can give him. Evelyn stared at her. You're asking me to trust you. I'm asking you to trust the process. The process buried the truth once. Why wouldn't it do it again? Sarah leaned back. Because I'm not my father, and I don't bury things. I expose them. Evelyn studied her, searching for cracks, for lies. But Sarah's face was unreadable. I need time to think, Evelyn said. You have until 5 p.m. today. That's not enough time. It's all the time you have. After that, the leak goes public, and all of this becomes someone else's problem. Evelyn stood. I'll let you know. Sarah rose as well. Ms. Hayes, one more thing. Evelyn turned. The black sedan that's been following you, that's not us. Evelyn's blood went cold. Then who? I don't know. But if I were you, I'd be very careful. Evelyn walked out without another word. The escort led her back to the elevator, back to the lobby, back to the street. She stood on the sidewalk, breathing, thinking. The sedan wasn't federal, so who was it? She pulled out her phone. Called Dalton. It rang 4 times. Then his voice. Yeah. We need to talk. Now. Where? The park. Same place. 1 hour. I'll be there. She hung up, started walking. Northridge Park looked different in the daylight. Joggers on the trails. Kids on the playground. A couple walking their dog. Normal. Safe. Evelyn sat on a bench near the east entrance. Waited. Dalton showed up 10 minutes late. He looked tired, eyes red-rimmed, jacket rumpled. You look like hell, Evelyn said. So do you. He sat down beside her. What happened? I met Sarah Hargrove. And? She wants my testimony, says she's reopening the investigation. Dalton nodded slowly. That's good. Is it? You don't trust her. I don't trust anyone. Evelyn looked at him. Who's following me? Dalton frowned. What? Black sedan, parked outside my apartment, outside the hospital. She says it's not federal. So who is it? Dalton's jaw tightened. I don't know. You're lying. I'm not. Then guess. He was quiet for a moment. Then, there were other people on that mission. People who have a lot to lose if the truth comes out. Like who? Officers, politicians, defense contractors. The airstrike that hit the village? It was called in by someone high up. Someone who's probably still in power. Evelyn's stomach twisted. You think they're trying to silence me. I think they're watching you, making sure you don't become a problem. And if I do? Dalton didn't answer. Evelyn stood. I need to see Rashid. Why? Because if I'm going to do this, I need to hear it from him. Not you, not Hargrove, him. Dalton pulled out his phone, typed. He's at a safe house. I can take you. Let's go. The safe house was 40 minutes outside the city. A small ranch-style home on a dirt road surrounded by trees. No neighbors, no streetlights, just silence. Dalton parked in the driveway. He's inside. They got out, walked to the front door. Dalton knocked. A moment later, it opened. Rashid stood in the doorway. He looked older in the daylight, thinner. The scar on his face seemed deeper. Evelyn, he said. Rashid. He stepped aside. Come in. The house was sparse. A couch, a table, a kitchen with mismatched chairs. No photos. No personal touches. Just a place to exist. Rashid gestured to the couch. Sit. Evelyn sat. Dalton remained standing by the door. Rashid sat across from her, hands on his knees. You're here because you want to know if this is worth it. I'm here because I need to understand what you want. I want the truth. The truth won't bring them back. No. His voice cracked. But it will prove they existed, that they mattered, that they weren't just collateral damage. Evelyn looked at him, really looked. The lines around his eyes, the weight in his shoulders, the grief that never left. If I testify, she said, it's going to get ugly. People will come after me, after you. They'll try to discredit us, destroy us. Let them try. You say that now, but when it happens, I've been living with this for 30 years. Rashid's voice was steady now, hard. I've been called a liar, a terrorist sympathizer, a fraud. I've lost jobs, friends, any chance at a normal life because I refuse to forget what happened. He leaned forward. So yes, I know what's coming, and I'm ready. Evelyn held his gaze. All right. All right what? I'll testify. Rashid exhaled. His eyes glistened. Thank you. Evelyn stood. Don't thank me yet. This isn't over. She walked to the door. Dalton followed. Outside, the air was cooler. The sun was starting to set. You made the right choice, John, Dalton said. I hope so. They got in the car, drove back toward the city. Evelyn's phone buzzed. Unknown number. She answered. Hello? Heavy breathing. Then a voice. Male. Distorted. You should have stayed quiet. Her blood turned to ice. Who is this? Someone who's been watching. Someone who knows what you're planning. What do you want? To give you a chance, walk away. Forget the testimony. Go back to your life. And if I don't, then you'll regret it. The line went dead. Evelyn's hands were shaking. Dalton glanced at her. What was that? A threat. From who? I don't know. Dalton's jaw tightened. We need to get you somewhere safe. I'm not hiding. Evelyn? No. Her voice was firm. I'm not running. Not again. Dalton was silent for a moment. Then he nodded. All right, but we do this smart. You go to Hargrove, give her your testimony, and we get security. From who? From people who owe you. He pulled out his phone, made a call. Marks, it's Dalton. We've got a problem. By 4 p.m., Evelyn was back in the federal building. This time with an escort, 2 federal agents, one ahead, one behind, both armed. Sarah Hargrove was waiting in her office. "You're early," she said. "I'm ready," Evelyn replied. Sarah gestured to a chair. "Then let's begin." A stenographer was already set up in the corner, a recorder on the desk. Sarah sat down. "This is an official deposition. Everything you say will be recorded and reviewed. Do you understand?" "I do." "Good. State your name for the record. Evelyn Margaret Hayes. And your position during October 1991? Combat medic, 3rd Special Operations Medical Unit." Sarah nodded. "Tell me what happened, in your own words." Evelyn took a breath. And then she told the truth. All of it. The mission had been routine at first. Intelligence gathering. Low risk. They'd moved through the province in 2 Humvees, a 10-person team including Evelyn and 3 other medics. The objective was to meet with a local informant who claimed to have intel on weapon caches, but the informant never showed. Instead, they took fire. RPGs, small arms. The ambush was coordinated. Professional. The team called for backup. Air support. Within minutes, they had coordinates for a counterstrike. Evelyn had been treating a wounded corporal, shrapnel in his leg, arterial bleed, when she heard the jets overhead. The first bomb hit the hillside. The second hit the village. The third hit it again. When the smoke cleared, the enemy fire had stopped. But so had everything else. Evelyn and 2 others moved into the village to assess. Bodies everywhere, civilians, women clutching children, an elderly man crushed under rubble, a teenager, couldn't have been more than 16, missing half his face. She'd tried to save the ones she could. Triage. Stabilize. But there were too many, and most were already gone. She reported what she saw, filed her observations, noted civilian casualties. But when she saw the official report weeks later, that section was gone. Replaced with a single line. No civilian casualties observed. All targets confirmed hostile. She'd confronted her commanding officer, Colonel Hargrove. He'd looked her in the eye and said, "You saw what you needed to see, now let it go." She had, until now. When Evelyn finished, the room was silent. Sarah was pale. The stenographer had stopped typing. "Thank you," Sarah said quietly. "That's all we need for now." Evelyn stood. "What happens next?" "Now I compile this with the other evidence, present it to the Oversight Committee. If they agree, we move forward with the full investigation. And if they don't, then we take it public anyway." Evelyn stared at her. "You'd risk your career for this." "My father spent his whole life protecting the wrong people. I'm not going to make the same mistake." Evelyn nodded, turned to leave. "Ms. Hayes." She looked back. "The people who don't want this coming out, they're not going to stop. You understand that, right?" "I understand." "Then be smart. Stay visible. Stay surrounded. Don't give them an opportunity." Evelyn walked out. The agents escorted her to the lobby, to her car. She drove home. Checked the mirrors constantly. No sedan, no tail. She parked, went inside, locked the door. Oscar was waiting. She fed him, made tea, tried to calm the shaking in her hands. Her phone buzzed. "Dalton, you did good today." She didn't respond. Another buzz. Rebecca. "Saw something on the news. Are you okay?" Evelyn frowned, turned on the TV. A news anchor was speaking. "Breaking tonight. New allegations surrounding a 1991 military operation in Afghanistan. Sources say a former combat medic has come forward with testimony about civilian casualties that were allegedly covered up by senior military officials. The story first broke online this afternoon, and federal officials have declined to comment. We'll have more as this develops." Evelyn's stomach dropped. They'd leaked it. Already. Before the committee even convened. Her phone started ringing. Unknown number. She didn't answer. It rang again, and again. She turned it off. Stood. Walked to the window. The black sedan was back, parked across the street. Engine running, lights on, someone inside. Watching. Evelyn stepped away from the window. Her heart was pounding. This wasn't surveillance anymore. This was a message. "We know where you are." She went to her bedroom, opened the closet, pulled out a lockbox from the top shelf, unlocked it. Inside was a sidearm, a Beretta M9. Standard military issue. She hadn't touched it in years. She checked the magazine. Full. Chambered around. Set it on the nightstand. Then she sat on the bed and waited. At 10:17 p.m., her landline rang. She stared at it. She hadn't given anyone that number in years. It rang again. She picked up. Hello? Silence. Then a voice. Male. Calm. Ms. Hayes, you've made a very serious mistake. Who is this? Someone who's trying to help you understand the consequences of your actions. I'm not interested. You should be, because what you've started, it's going to destroy a lot of lives, including yours. Evelyn's grip tightened on the phone. If you're trying to scare me, it's not working. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to warn you. There are people, powerful people, who will do whatever it takes to keep the past buried. And right now, you're standing in their way. Good. You don't understand. These aren't bureaucrats. These aren't politicians playing games. These are operators, people who've made careers out of eliminating problems. Then let them come. The voice laughed, soft, almost sad. You really think you're ready for that? I've been ready my whole life. The line went dead. Evelyn set the phone down. Her hands were steady now. The fear had burned away, replaced by something harder. Resolve. She walked back to the living room, looked out the window. The sedan was still there. She grabbed her keys, her jacket, the gun, walked out the front door, crossed the street, walked straight toward the sedan. The driver's window rolled down. A man sat inside, mid-40s, clean-cut, expensive suit. He looked at her with something like amusement. Can I help you? He asked. Yeah, you can stop following me. I'm not following you, I'm observing. On whose orders? People who'd prefer you didn't make any more statements. Evelyn pulled the gun, aimed it at his face. Tell them I don't care what they prefer. The man didn't flinch. You're not going to shoot me. You sure about that? Positive. Because the moment you do, you become the story. Not Kandahar, not the cover-up. You. A mentally unstable veteran who threatened a federal contractor. Evelyn's jaw tightened. Federal contractor. That's right. Working for who? People who pay very well for discretion. She lowered the gun, just slightly. Tell them I'm not backing down. I already have. They told me to make sure you understand what you're risking. I understand perfectly. The man smiled. No, you don't, but you will. He rolled up the window, started the engine, drove away. Evelyn stood in the street, gun still in her hand. Her phone buzzed. She turned it back on. Dalton. Get out of your house, now! They're coming! Evelyn's blood went cold. She turned, ran back to her house. The front door was open. She hadn't left it open. She raised the gun, stepped inside. The living room was trashed, furniture overturned, drawers pulled out, papers everywhere. Oscar was hiding under the couch, shaking. Evelyn moved through the house, checked every room, empty. But they'd been here, looking for something or sending a message. She grabbed Oscar, shoved him into his carrier, grabbed her go-bag from the closet. Clothes, cash, documents she'd kept for emergencies. Her phone buzzed again. Dalton. Black SUVs just turned onto your street, 3 of them. Move now. Evelyn ran to the back door, out into the yard, over the fence, through the neighbor's property. She could hear engines, doors slamming, voices. She kept moving. 2 blocks over, she saw Dalton's truck. Engine running, passenger door open. She threw herself inside. Oscar's carrier landed between them. Dalton hit the gas. Behind them, the SUVs appeared. Pursuing. Who the hell are they? Evelyn shouted. Private contractors, ex-military. They're cleanup. Cleanup for who? General Klein. Evelyn's stomach lurched. Klein! He gave the order for the airstrike. And he's not about to let you destroy his legacy. Dalton took a hard turn. The truck skidded. The SUVs stayed close. Where are we going? Somewhere they can't follow. He pulled out his phone, hit a number. Marks, we're blown. Need extraction. Now. A pause. Roger that. Sending coordinates. Dalton's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, changed direction. The SUVs were gaining. Evelyn looked back, saw men leaning out the windows, weapons drawn. They're armed. So are we. Dalton reached under his seat, pulled out a pistol, handed it to her. If they get close enough, shoot the tires. Evelyn checked the weapon. Loaded. She rolled down her window, leaned out, aimed. The lead SUV was 20 feet back. She fired, missed, fired again. The front tire exploded. The SUV swerved, crashed into a parked car. The other two kept coming. Dalton took another turn. They were heading toward the industrial district. Warehouses, empty lots. Ahead, Evelyn saw lights, military vehicles, Humvees, a transport truck. And standing in the middle of the road, General Marks. Dalton skidded to a stop. Evelyn jumped out. Dalton followed. The SUVs appeared behind them. Stopped. Doors opened. Armed men stepped out. Marks walked forward, flanked by a dozen soldiers, all armed, all ready. Stand down, Marks ordered. The contractors didn't move. One of them, older, gray-haired, clearly in charge, stepped forward. This doesn't concern you, General. It does now. We have orders. From who? You know who. Marks's voice was ice. General Klein doesn't give orders anymore. He retired, and even if he did, he doesn't outrank me. The contractor smiled. This isn't about rank. Then what's it about? Containment. Marks raised his hand. His soldiers aimed their weapons. You've got 5 seconds to leave. After that, you're all under military arrest. The contractor stared at him, calculating. Then he nodded. This isn't over. Yes, it is. The contractors got back in their SUVs, drove away. Marks walked over to Evelyn. You all right? She nodded, couldn't speak. Good, because we need to move. Now. Where? Somewhere Klein can't reach you. He gestured to the transport truck. Get in. Evelyn climbed in. Dalton followed. The truck pulled out, heading toward the outskirts of the city. Evelyn looked at Marks. What happens now? Now we go public. All of it. The testimony, the documents, everything. They'll come after you too. Let them. Marks's jaw was set. I'm done protecting the people who destroy lives and call it duty. The truck rumbled through the darkness. Evelyn leaned back, closed her eyes. For the first time in hours, she let herself breathe. But deep down, she knew this was far from over, because men like Klein didn't stop. They adapted, and somewhere out there, he was already planning his next move. The hospital corridor stretched ahead of her like a tunnel with no end. Evelyn moved through it mechanically, checking vitals, changing IV bags, speaking in that calm voice patients needed to hear. But her mind was elsewhere, on a document she hadn't seen in 3 decades, on a meeting she didn't want to take, on a past that refused to stay buried. By mid-morning, her hands were shaking, not visibly, just enough that she had to set down a syringe twice before she trusted herself to administer the morphine dose. The patient, a woman in her 70s recovering from a hip replacement, didn't notice. She was too busy complaining about the food. They call this oatmeal? I've seen wallpaper paste with more flavor. Evelyn managed a small smile. I'll see what I can do. You're sweet. Most of the nurses here just tell me to deal with it. You're paying to be here. You shouldn't have to deal with anything. The woman's face softened. What's your name, hun? Evelyn. Well, Evelyn, you're the only decent thing about this place. Evelyn squeezed her hand once. Get some rest. She left the room, walked to the supply closet, closed the door behind her, leaned against the wall and let herself breathe. Her phone was in her pocket. She could feel it, heavy, insistent. She pulled it out. The message was still there. The document, the meeting request. 10 p.m. Northridge Park, East Entrance, come alone. She should ignore it, delete it, pretend it never happened, but she knew herself better than that. The door opened. Rebecca stuck her head in. You okay? Evelyn straightened, slipped the phone back into her pocket. Yeah, just needed a second. Rebecca stepped inside, closed the door. Evelyn, I'm going to ask you something. and I need you to be honest with me. What? Are you in trouble? Evelyn blinked. Why would you think that? Because you look like someone who's waiting for something bad to happen. Rebecca crossed her arms. And because there's been a guy in the lobby asking about you. Evelyn's stomach dropped. What guy? I don't know. Older, 50s maybe, gray hair, suit. He came in around 8, asked the front desk if you were working today. What did they tell him? Nothing. Hospital policy. But he's still there, just sitting, watching the elevators. Evelyn's jaw tightened. Did you get a good look at him? Not really, but he didn't look like a reporter. He looked... Rebecca hesitated. Official. Evelyn was already moving. She pushed past Rebecca, walked down the hall, took the stairs instead of the elevator, descended 2 floors, came out near the main lobby. She stayed behind a pillar, scanned the waiting area. There. A man in a charcoal suit, gray hair, clean-shaven, sitting in one of the chairs near the information desk. He wasn't reading, wasn't on his phone, just sitting, watching. Evelyn recognized the posture. Military, or former military. She pulled out her phone, took a photo, zoomed in. The man's face was sharp, weathered, a scar along his jawline, and on his left hand, visible when he shifted position, a ring, gold. With an insignia she knew. Her blood went cold. The insignia matched the one on the classified document. 3rd Special Operations Medical Unit. He'd been there. She backed away. Took the stairs again. Returned to her floor. Found Callahan's office. Knocked. Come in. Evelyn stepped inside, closed the door. Callahan looked up from her computer. What's wrong? I need to leave early. Are you sick? No, but I need to go. Now. Callahan studied her. This about yesterday? No. Then what? Evelyn hesitated. Personal emergency. Evelyn, if you're in danger, I'm not. Evelyn's voice was firm. I just need to handle something, please. Callahan sighed. Fine, but you call me if anything happens. Understood? Understood. Evelyn left the office, grabbed her bag from her locker, took the service exit, avoided the lobby entirely. Her car was parked in the employee lot. She got in, started the engine, pulled out onto the street, and saw the black sedan. Same one from last night. It was 3 cars behind her. Evelyn's hands tightened on the wheel. She turned left. The sedan followed. She turned right. It stayed with her. She drove for 10 minutes, took a route that looped back toward the hospital. The sedan never fell back, never closed the distance, just stayed there, watching. Evelyn pulled into a gas station, parked, got out. The sedan drove past. Slow, deliberate. She watched it disappear around the corner. Then she got back in her car and drove home. The apartment felt smaller than usual. She locked the door, checked the windows, drew the blinds. Oscar meowed from the couch. Not now, she muttered. She pulled out her phone, opened the message thread, stared at the document again. Survivor testimony indicates additional civilian casualties. She'd spent years trying not to think about that mission, about what happened, about the choices she'd made. But someone was forcing her to remember, and they weren't going to stop. She opened her laptop, logged into an old email account she hadn't used in years, typed a name into the search bar. Colonel Nathaniel Cross. He'd been her commanding officer in '91. The one who signed off on the mission, the one who told her the documents had been destroyed. She found an old address, a phone number. Both probably outdated. She tried the phone number anyway. It rang and rang. Then someone picked up. Yeah? A man's voice, rough, old. Is this Nathaniel Cross? Silence. Then, who's asking? Evelyn Hayes. The silence stretched longer. Jesus Christ, Cross breathed. I thought you were dead. I'm not. You should be, after what you saw. I need to know who's digging into the mission files. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't lie to me, Nate. Someone sent me a classified document. Someone's been following me. And there's a man with our unit insignia sitting in my hospital lobby. So either you tell me what's happening, or I go public. Cross laughed. It was a bitter sound. You think going public will help? They'll bury you, same way they buried everyone else. Who's they? The people who don't want the truth coming out. What truth? Another long silence. Then Cross said, "You really don't know, do you?" "Know what?" "The mission wasn't what we thought it was. The target wasn't hostile. The intel was fabricated." Evelyn's stomach turned. "That's not possible." "It's not only possible, it's documented. Someone in the chain of command wanted that village gone. And they used us to do it." "Who?" "I don't know, but whoever it is, they've got enough pull to keep it buried for 30 years. And now someone's trying to dig it up." "Who?" "If I knew that, I'd already be dead." Cross's voice dropped. "Listen to me, Evelyn. Whatever you're planning, don't. Walk away. Disappear. Because if they think you're a threat, they'll remove you." "I'm not walking away." "Then you're a fool." The line went dead. Evelyn sat in the dark. Her hands were trembling now, visibly. The mission had been a lie. The people she'd tried to save, the ones she couldn't save, they'd been innocent, and someone had known. Someone had ordered it. Her phone buzzed. Another message. Same unknown number. "Still coming tonight?" She typed back. "Who are you?" 3 dots. Then, "The only person who can prove what really happened. Be there, or live with the lie." Evelyn closed her eyes. She had a choice. Walk away, pretend she never saw the document, go back to her quiet life, or face it. She opened her eyes, typed one word. "Fine." The hours crawled by. She tried to eat, couldn't, tried to read. The words blurred together. She sat on the couch with Oscar curled beside her, watching the clock on the wall tick toward evening. At 9:30, she got up, changed into dark jeans and a jacket, checked her pockets, phone, keys, pepper spray. She left the apartment, locked the door, walked to her car. The street was quiet. No black sedan. No watchers. But she felt eyes on her anyway. She drove to Northridge Park. The streets were empty. Streetlights cast orange pools on wet pavement. It had rained earlier. The air smelled like earth and exhaust. She parked 2 blocks from the east entrance, walked the rest of the way. Her breath came out in small clouds. The park gate was open, rusted hinges creaking in the wind. Beyond it, darkness. Trees forming a canopy overhead. The path barely visible. Evelyn stepped through. Her footsteps crunched on gravel. She kept her hand near her phone, ready to dial, ready to run. A figure emerged from the shadows. Evelyn stopped. The figure moved into a shaft of moonlight filtering through the trees. A woman, late 50s, short hair, gray at the temples, sharp features, leather jacket, jeans, boots. Evelyn didn't recognize her. "You came," the woman said. "You didn't give me much choice." The woman smiled. It didn't reach her eyes. "My name's Laura Killian. I was embedded with your unit in 91, intelligence analyst." Evelyn's memory stirred. A face. Younger. Always carrying a clipboard. Always taking notes. "I remember you." "I remember you too. You were the one who tried to stop it." "Stop what?" "The massacre." The word hung in the air like a blade. Evelyn's throat tightened. It wasn't a massacre. It was a mission that went wrong. "No." Laura's voice was hard. "It was an execution. Planned. Deliberate. And you know it." "I don't." "Yes, you do." Laura stepped closer. "You were there. You saw the bodies. Women. Children. None of them armed. None of them threats. And you tried to report it, but they shut you down." Evelyn's hands clenched. "They told me the intel was solid, that the village was harboring insurgents. The intel was fabricated by someone high up, someone who needed that village gone." "Why?" "Because there was something there they wanted to hide, a weapons cache, but not ours. Theirs." Evelyn stared. "Whose?" "Ours." Laura's smile was bitter. "The U.S. military. We'd been running illegal arms through that region for months, selling to groups we weren't supposed to be dealing with. And that village, those people, they'd seen too much. So someone gave the order. Make it look like a combat operation. Clean it up. Bury the evidence. And we were the ones who did it. You didn't know. None of us did, except the people at the top." Evelyn's legs felt weak. She leaned against a tree. Why are you telling me this now? Because someone's trying to expose it, and they're using you to do it. What? Laura pulled out a folder, handed it to Evelyn. This showed up at my house 3 days ago, anonymous, same document you got, same mission file, but with something extra. Evelyn opened the folder. Inside was a photo. A man, mid-60s, silver hair, expensive suit, clean-shaven, the kind of face you'd see on campaign posters. She didn't recognize him. Who is this? Senator Raymond Holt. He was a captain back in '91. He's the one who signed off on the mission, and now he's running for re-election. His campaign's built on military honor, integrity, service. Evelyn's stomach turned. He's the one who ordered it, yes? And someone wants to destroy him. Or they want to destroy us. Either way, we're caught in the middle. Evelyn looked up. Who sent the documents? I don't know, but whoever it is, they know everything, and they're not going to stop until the truth comes out. So what do we do? Laura's expression hardened. We get ahead of it. We tell the truth ourselves, before they use it to bury us. And if we do that, then Holt goes down. His career ends. His reputation is destroyed. And maybe, just maybe, we get some justice for the people we killed. Evelyn's hand shook. I've spent 30 years trying to forget that night. I know. And now you're asking me to relive it. I'm asking you to make it mean something. Evelyn closed the folder, handed it back. I need time to think. We don't have time. Holt's people are already moving. They know someone's digging, and if they find out it's us, we're done. Then what do you want me to do? Laura pulled out a flash drive. Small, black, innocuous. This has everything. Mission logs, witness statements, photos, all of it. I need you to give it to someone who can use it. Who? General Marks. Evelyn froze. No. He's the only one with enough authority to make this stick, and he owes you. I'm not dragging Sam into this. He's already in it. Holt's been blocking his promotions for years, keeping him from getting a 5th star, because Marks knows too much. Evelyn stared at the flash drive. This will destroy people. It should. Laura's voice was cold. They deserve it. Evelyn took the drive, slipped it into her pocket. I'll think about it. Don't think too long. Laura turned, started to walk away. Wait, Evelyn called. Laura stopped. Why now? After all these years, why surface this now? Laura looked back. Her face was hard. Because I'm dying. Pancreatic cancer, stage 4. I've got maybe 3 months. And I'm not going to die knowing those bastards got away with it. Evelyn's chest tightened. I'm sorry. Don't be. Just make it count. Laura disappeared into the shadows. Evelyn stood alone in the park. The wind picked up, the trees rustled, and somewhere in the distance, a car engine started. She walked back to her car, got in, locked the doors. The black sedan was parked across the street, same one that had been following her. The driver's side window rolled down. The man from the hospital lobby looked out, gray hair, scar on his jaw, cold eyes. He didn't say anything, just watched. Evelyn started her engine, pulled away. The sedan didn't follow. She drove home, locked herself inside, sat on the couch with the flash drive in her hand. Oscar jumped up beside her, curled into a ball. She stared at the drive. Everything she'd tried to forget was on it. Every mistake, every failure, every face she couldn't save. And now she had a choice. Use it or destroy it. Her phone buzzed, a new message from General Marks. I heard someone's been asking about you. Are you safe? She typed back. For now. If you need anything, I need to see you. Tomorrow. Private. 3 dots. Then, I'll make it happen. Where? Your office. 8 a.m. Done. Evelyn set the phone down. She didn't sleep that night. She sat on the couch, holding the flash drive, watching the shadows move across the walls. At 6 a.m., she got up, showered, dressed in her civilian clothes, dark slacks, a simple blouse, a jacket. Drove to the military base on the edge of the city. The sun was just rising, the sky streaked with pink and gold. The base was a sprawling complex of gray buildings behind chain-link fences and guard stations. She showed her ID at the gate. The guard checked a list, nodded, waved her through. Marks's office was on the third floor of a nondescript building behind 2 layers of security. She signed in. Was escorted upstairs by a young lieutenant who didn't ask questions. Marks was waiting. He stood when she entered. Evelyn. Sam. He gestured to a chair. What's this about? She sat, pulled out the flash drive, set it on the desk between them. What's that? The truth about what happened in 91. His face went still. Evelyn. Someone's been digging into the mission files. They sent me this, and I need to know if you're willing to use it. Marks picked up the drive, turned it over in his hand. What's on here? Everything. Logs, statements, photos, proof that the mission was a setup, that we were used to cover up illegal arms deals, and proof that Senator Raymond Holt gave the order. Marks's jaw tightened. You're sure? I've seen the documents. He was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, if I use this, it'll start a war. I know. Holt has allies, powerful ones. They'll come after everyone involved, including you. I know that too. Marks looked at her. Why now? You've kept this buried for 30 years. Why surface it now? Because someone's forcing my hand. And because... She hesitated. Because I'm tired of living with the lie. Marks nodded slowly. He stood, walked to the window, looked out at the base below. You know what this means, Juan? He said quietly. If we move forward, there's no going back. Your life changes. My career changes. A lot of people go down. They should go down. Maybe, but the system protects its own, always has. Then we change the system. Marks turned, looked at her. You really believe that? I have to. He was silent for a moment. Then he walked back to the desk, picked up the flash drive. All right, but we do this carefully. We build a case. We make sure it's airtight before we move. How long will that take? Weeks, maybe months. We don't have that long. Then we make time. Evelyn stood. There's something else you should know. What? I'm being followed, and I think Holt's people already know I have this. Marks's expression darkened. Then you're not safe. I'm aware. Stay at the hospital, public place, cameras everywhere, and don't go anywhere alone. I can take care of myself. I know you can, but let me help anyway. He picked up his phone, dialed. Lieutenant Barnes, I need a security detail. 2 personnel, discreet, assigned to a civilian for protective observation. He listened. Good. Send them to Mercy Ridge Medical Center. They're watching Evelyn Hayes. He hung up, looked at her. They'll be there by noon. Sam, not a discussion. She nodded. Thank you. She left the office, walked back to her car. The morning was bright now. The base coming to life, soldiers jogging in formation, vehicles moving between buildings. She got in her car, started the engine. The black sedan was gone, but she didn't feel relieved. She felt like she was being watched. And she was right, because 3 blocks away, in an unmarked office building with tinted windows, a man in an expensive suit was watching a live feed of the base entrance on a monitor. Senator Raymond Holt leaned back in his leather chair, smiled. She took the bait, he said. The man beside him, tall, broad-shouldered, the one who'd been sitting in the hospital lobby, nodded. What now? Now we wait. She'll give the drive to Marks. He'll start digging, and when he does, we'll know exactly who's involved. And then? Holt's smile widened. Then we remove them, all of them, quietly, permanently. What about Hayes? She's a loose end, and I don't leave loose ends. The man nodded, left the room. Holt turned back to the screen, watched Evelyn drive away, and for the first time in 30 years he felt something close to fear. Because Evelyn Hayes wasn't just a nurse, she was a soldier, and soldiers didn't break easily. But everyone had a breaking point. He just had to find hers. Evelyn returned to the hospital, clocked in, went through the motions, but her mind was elsewhere, on Marks, on the flash drive, on what came next. The post-op floor was busy. A surgery had gone long. 2 patients were in recovery. One was struggling with nausea. Another was in pain. Evelyn moved between them, adjusted medication dosages, spoke in calm tones, did her job. At noon, Rebecca found her in the supply room. "You've got another visitor." Evelyn looked up. "Who?" He says he's your brother." Evelyn froze. "I don't have a brother." Rebecca's face went pale. "Should I call security?" "Where is he?" "Main lobby." Evelyn was already moving. She took the stairs, came out near the lobby, stayed behind a pillar. The man was standing near the entrance. 50s. Gray hair, same one from before. He wasn't looking around. He was looking directly at where she was hiding. He smiled, mouthed two words. "We know." Then he turned, walked out. Evelyn's heart was pounding. She pulled out her phone, called Mark's. "Evelyn, they know. Holt's people. They know I gave you the drive." "How?" "I don't know, but they're sending a message. They're not hiding anymore." "Where are you?" "Hospital." "Stay there. The security detail should be arriving any minute. I'm coming myself." "Sam." "Not a discussion. You're in danger. Let me protect you." The line went dead. Evelyn stood in the hallway, people moving past her, life continuing like nothing was wrong. But everything was wrong. And it was about to get worse. Because across town, in a parking garage downtown, Laura Killian was getting into her car. She'd just come from a doctor's appointment. The news hadn't been good. The cancer was spreading faster than they'd thought. Weeks, not months. She unlocked her car, tossed her purse onto the passenger seat, didn't see the man approach, didn't hear the footsteps. By the time she turned, it was too late. The gunshot was muffled, suppressed. Laura gasped. Her hand went to her chest, blood seeping between her fingers. She slumped against the steering wheel. The man walked away. Calm. Unhurried. Like he'd just finished an errand. And in Senator Holt's office, a phone rang. He answered. "It's done." Holt smiled. "Good. One down." He hung up, turned to his assistant, a young woman with sharp eyes and sharper ambitions. "Make sure the police report lists it as a robbery gone wrong. No connections. No complications." "Yes, sir." "And keep monitoring Hayes. I want to know every move she makes." "Already being handled." Holt nodded, looked out the window at the city below. 30 years he'd kept this buried. 30 years of careful planning, strategic alliances, controlled narratives. He wasn't about to let a dying woman and a middle-aged nurse destroy everything he'd built. But Evelyn Hayes was proving harder to contain than he'd anticipated. She had Marks now. That was a problem. Marks was incorruptible, principled, the kind of officer who actually believed in honor, which made him dangerous. Holt picked up his phone, dialed a different number. "It's me. We need to accelerate the timeline. Marks has the evidence. I need him neutralized before he can use it. That's going to be difficult. He's a 4-star general, high profile. Any move against him will draw attention. Then make it look natural. Heart attack, car accident, I don't care. Just handle it. It'll take time. You have 48 hours. Holt hung up. He leaned back in his chair, steepled his fingers. Everything was still salvageable, but the window was closing. At Mercy Ridge, Evelyn was in Callahan's office when the security detail arrived. 2 soldiers, both young, both armed. They introduced themselves as Sergeant Kim and Corporal Vasquez. "General Mark sent us," Kim said. "We're here to keep an eye on you." "I don't need a babysitter." "With respect, ma'am, we're not here to babysit. We're here to make sure nothing happens to you." Evelyn wanted to argue, but she was too tired. "Fine, but stay out of my way." They took up positions, one near the elevators, one near the staff entrance. Evelyn returned to work. The afternoon dragged. She couldn't focus. Every patient, every chart, every conversation felt like a distraction from the thing she couldn't stop thinking about. Laura was out there somewhere, with a target on her back, and Evelyn had no way to warn her. At 4 p.m., her phone buzzed. A news alert. "Woman found dead in downtown parking garage. Police investigating." Her stomach dropped. She clicked the link. The article was brief. No name yet. Pending notification of next of kin. But the location matched. And deep in her gut, Evelyn knew Laura was dead. She sat down, hard. Her legs wouldn't hold her. Rebecca appeared. "Evelyn? What's wrong?" Evelyn couldn't speak. Rebecca took the phone, read the article. Her face went pale. "Oh my God, did you know her?" Evelyn nodded. "I'm so sorry." Evelyn stood, walked to the bathroom, locked herself in a stall. And for the first time in years, she cried. Not loud, not dramatic, just silent tears running down her face while she gripped the cold metal wall and tried to breathe. Laura had been dying anyway, but she deserved better than a bullet in a parking garage. She deserved justice, and Evelyn was going to make sure she got it. She wiped her face, washed her hands, looked at herself in the mirror. The woman staring back was tired, worn, but not broken. Not yet. She left the bathroom, found Sergeant Kim. "I need to make a call. Private," Kim nodded. "Use the office. I'll stand outside." Evelyn went into Callahan's empty office, closed the door, dialed Marks. He answered immediately. "I heard. They killed her. I know. This is my fault." "No, it's Holt's. She came to me because she thought I could help, and now she's dead. She came to you because she wanted the truth to come out, and it will. But we have to be smart." "Smart? They just murdered someone in broad daylight, which means they're desperate, and desperate people make mistakes." Evelyn's hands tightened on the phone. "I want him to pay." "He will. But we do this right. We build the case, we make it public, and we make sure it sticks." "How long?" "I've already got my people analyzing the drive. We'll have a preliminary report by tomorrow morning. And then? Then we take it to the Inspector General and to the Senate Oversight Committee and to every news outlet that'll listen. Holt will try to stop you. He can try." Evelyn closed her eyes. "Be careful, Sam. You too." She hung up, sat in the quiet office. Outside, the hospital continued, lives being saved, lives being lost. The machinery of healing grinding forward. But in here, in this moment, everything felt still. Like the calm before the storm. And the storm was coming. She could feel it. That night, Evelyn went home under escort. Sergeant Kim drove her. Corporal Vasquez followed in a second vehicle. They swept her apartment, checked the windows, the locks, the perimeter. "You're clear," Kim said, "but we'll be outside. Rotating shifts. Anything happens, you call." Evelyn nodded. They left. She locked the door. Fed Oscar. Made tea she didn't drink. Sat on the couch. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but she did. "Hello?" Static, then breathing. Then a voice. Distorted. Mechanical. "You should have walked away." Evelyn's blood ran cold. "Who is this?" "Someone who's trying to save your life. Drop this. Forget what you know, or you'll end up like Killian." "Is that a threat?" "It's a courtesy." The line went dead. Evelyn sat in the dark. Her hands were shaking again, but this time it wasn't fear. It was rage. She picked up her phone, dialed Marks. "They just called me, threatened me. Did you record it?" "No." "Doesn't matter. They're panicking, which means we're close." "Close to what?" "To breaking them." Evelyn took a breath. "What do you need me to do?" "Stay alive. Let me handle the rest." "Sam, trust me." She wanted to, but trust was a luxury she'd learned not to afford. "Just don't get yourself killed." "Same to you." She hung up. The apartment was quiet. Too quiet. She stood, walked to the window, looked out. The street below was empty. No black sedans, no watchers. But she knew they were out there, waiting, and she was done waiting. She pulled out her laptop, opened a browser, started searching. Senator Raymond Holt, campaign, donors, affiliations. She dug. Hours passed. She found connections, shell companies, foreign accounts, transactions that didn't add up. Holt wasn't just covering up a massacre. He was part of something bigger, and it was still going on. Her phone buzzed, a text from Marks. "Preliminary analysis done. You need to see this. My office, 7 a.m. Evelyn looked at the clock. 2:47 a.m. She closed the laptop, lay down on the couch. Oscar curled up beside her. She closed her eyes. But sleep didn't come, because somewhere out there, the people who'd killed Laura were planning their next move. and Evelyn Hayes was the target. But she wasn't going to make it easy for them. She was a soldier, and soldiers fought back. Even when the enemy wore a suit and a smile, even when the battlefield was a courtroom instead of a jungle, even when justice was the only weapon left. She'd fought before, and she'd fight again, until the truth came out, or until they buried her trying. The sunrise came too fast. Evelyn hadn't slept. She sat at her kitchen table, laptop open, eyes burning from hours of staring at financial records and shell company filings. Oscar had given up on her around 4 and retreated to his bed. At 6:15, she showered, put on the same clothes she'd worn to the base yesterday, grabbed her keys. Sergeant Kim was waiting outside her door. "Morning, ma'am." "Morning. General Marks asked me to drive you." She didn't argue. The drive to the base was quiet. Early morning traffic, the city still waking up. Kim didn't try to make conversation. Evelyn was grateful. They arrived at 6:52. Marks was already in his office. He looked like he hadn't slept either. "Coffee?" he offered. "Please." He poured 2 cups, black, handed her one. "What did you find?" she asked. He gestured to his desk. A laptop was open. Documents spread across the surface. Photos, reports, bank statements. "Everything Laura told you was true," he said. The mission was fabricated. The village was targeted because they witnessed an illegal arms transfer, and Holt gave the order. Evelyn sat down. "Can you prove it?" "Yes, the logs are here. Communications between Holt and his commanding officer. Orders to engage a non-hostile target. And after-action reports that were altered to justify the strike." "Who altered them?" "Holt, and 3 other officers who've since been promoted into positions where they can protect him." "Names?" Marks pulled out a sheet. "General Thomas Ridley, currently on the Joint Chiefs. Admiral Patricia Vance, head of Naval Operations, and Colonel Marcus Webb, now a senior advisor to the Secretary of Defense." Evelyn's hands tightened on her cup. "They're all still in power, which is why this has stayed buried for 30 years. What about Laura's murder? Can we connect it to Holt?" Mark shook his head. "Not directly. The shooter was professional. No prints, no witnesses. The police are calling it a robbery. But we know better. Knowing and proving are different things." Evelyn stood, walked to the window, looked out at the base coming to life. Soldiers jogging, vehicles moving between buildings. The machinery of military order. "So what do we do?" "We go public. Today." She turned. "Today?" "I've already contacted the Inspector General's office. They're sending investigators this afternoon. I've also reached out to Senator Patricia Langford. She chairs the Armed Services Committee. She's agreed to meet with us at 2. And the press? I've got a contact at the Washington Herald, Amanda Torres. She's been investigating military corruption for years. She'll run the story if we give her the evidence." Evelyn's heart was pounding. "This is happening fast." "It has to. Holt knows we have the drive. He's already made one move. He'll make another." "What if he comes after you?" Mark smiled. It was grim. "Let him try." There was a knock at the door. A young officer entered. "Sir, the Inspector General's team just arrived. Show them to conference room 2. I'll be there in 5 minutes." Marks turned back to Evelyn. "You should go to work. Maintain your routine. I'll handle this part. Sam, you've done your part. You brought me the truth. Now let me use it." She wanted to argue, but she knew he was right. "Be careful." "Always am." She left the base. Kim drove her to Mercy Ridge. The morning was bright, clear, the kind of day that felt wrong for what was about to happen. At 9 a.m., Evelyn was back on the post-op floor. She'd wanted to stay with Marks, but he'd insisted she maintain her routine. "Don't give them a reason to think we're panicking," he'd said. Sergeant Kim stayed close. Corporal Vasquez took a position near the staff entrance. The floor was busy, a surgery scheduled for 10, 2 patients being discharged, 1 coding in room 307. Evelyn ran. The crash team was already there. Dr. Patel was doing compressions. A resident was managing the airway. "What happened?" Evelyn asked, snapping on gloves. "V-fib," Patel said, breathless. "Hit him out of nowhere." Evelyn grabbed the defibrillator. "Clear." Patel stepped back. She shocked. Once, twice. The monitor flatlined. Again, Patel said. She shocked a third time. The heart kicked. The monitor beeped. Steady. Strong. Patel exhaled. Nice work. The patient was stable within minutes. Evelyn stripped off her gloves. Her hands were steady, her mind clear. This was what she was good at. Not politics, not revenge, just saving lives. She left the room, washed her hands, checked her phone. A message from Marks. Inspector General's team just arrived. Meeting in progress. Will update soon. She slipped the phone back into her pocket. Evelyn? She turned. Rebecca was standing there, eyes wide. You've got a visitor. Conference room B. Evelyn's stomach tightened. Who? He says he's from the Senate Armed Services Committee. Evelyn walked down the hall. Sergeant Kim followed 3 paces behind. She opened the door. A man stood inside. Mid-40s, dark suit, briefcase, clean cut, professional. The kind of lawyer who'd never lost a case he cared about winning. Ms. Hayes? Yes. My name is David Brennan. I'm chief counsel for Senator Langford's office. She asked me to speak with you before this afternoon's meeting. Evelyn crossed her arms. About what? About what you're prepared to say, and what you're prepared to face. I'm prepared to tell the truth. Brennan smiled. It wasn't warm. The truth is complicated, especially when it involves people as powerful as Senator Holt. The truth is simple. He ordered an illegal strike. Innocent people died. And he's been covering it up for 30 years. Can you prove that? General Marks can. General Marks has the evidence, but evidence isn't always enough. You need a witness, someone who was there, someone who can testify under oath. Evelyn's jaw tightened. I was there. Then you understand what I'm asking. You want me to testify, publicly, on the record, in front of the committee. And if I do, then Holt goes down, his career ends, his allies scatter, and maybe, just maybe, you get justice for the people who died. And if I don't? Brennan's expression hardened. Then this stays buried, and Laura Killian died for nothing. Evelyn stared at him. The room felt smaller, the walls closing in. When? Tomorrow. The committee's calling an emergency session. Closed door initially, but your testimony will be recorded, and it will be released to the public within 48 hours. Why the rush? Because Holt's people are already moving. They've started a counter-narrative, claiming the evidence is fabricated, that Marks has a vendetta, that you're mentally unstable from PTSD. Evelyn's hands clenched. I'm not unstable. I know, but perception matters, which is why we need to move fast, before they control the story. She took a breath, let it out slowly. I'll do it. Brennan nodded. Good. A car will pick you up tomorrow at 8. The hearing starts at 10. Dress professionally. Answer the questions directly. Don't elaborate unless asked, and whatever you do, don't let them rattle you. I won't. He left. Evelyn stood alone in the conference room. Sergeant Kim stepped inside. You okay? No, but I will be. The afternoon crawled by. Evelyn tried to focus on work, but her mind kept circling back to tomorrow, to what she'd have to say, to the faces she'd have to remember. The village had a name. She'd learned it later after the mission, after the reports were filed and the orders were given to forget. Carwall, 17 people. She remembered some of them, an old man with a white beard who'd been sitting outside his home when they arrived. He'd raised his hands, smiled, thought they were there to help. A woman holding a baby. She'd tried to run, made it 3 steps. A boy, maybe 10. He'd been hiding behind a wall, watched everything, his eyes wide with terror. She'd tried to get to him, to pull him away, but the orders had been clear. Engage all targets, leave no witnesses. By the time she reached the boy, it was too late. She'd held him as he died, his blood on her hands. His name had been Rashid. She'd learned that later, too, from the casualty reports that were supposed to be destroyed but somehow survived. Rashid, 10 years old. No weapon, no threat. Just a boy who'd been in the wrong place at the wrong time. She carried him with her, every day, for 30 years. And tomorrow, she'd finally tell his story. At 3 p.m., her phone rang. Marks. How'd it go? She asked. Inspector General's taking it seriously. They've opened a formal investigation, seized Holt's communications records, bank statements, everything. How long before they move? Officially, months, maybe years. But unofficially? He paused. They've already got enough to destroy him. They're just building the case. Evelyn closed her eyes. That's not good enough. I know, which is why I'm glad you agreed to testify. Public pressure will force their hand. You heard about that? Langford called me. She wanted to make sure you were solid. And? I told her you were the most solid person I know. Evelyn's throat tightened. Thanks, Sam. Don't thank me yet. Tomorrow's going to be brutal. They'll try to discredit you, question your memory, your motives. They'll dig into your past. Let them. You sure? I'm sure. They talked for a few more minutes. Then he hung up. Evelyn finished her shift, clocked out, walked to her car with Kim and Vasquez flanking her. The drive home was quiet. She fed Oscar, made tea, sat on the couch. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She answered. Hello? The same distorted voice from before. Last chance. Walk away. No. Then you're making a mistake. Maybe, but it's mine to make. Silence. Then, you have no idea who you're dealing with. I know exactly who I'm dealing with. A coward who hides behind other people's blood. The line went dead. Evelyn set the phone down. Her hands were shaking, but not from fear, from adrenaline. She was done being scared. She stood, walked to her closet, pulled out a box from the top shelf. Inside was her old uniform, neatly folded, unworn for decades. She ran her fingers over the fabric, the patches, the insignia. She'd earned every one of them, in blood, in sacrifice, in choices that still haunted her, but she'd earned them. And nobody, not Holt, not his allies, not anyone, could take that away. She put the uniform back, closed the box. Tomorrow, she'd wear the suit, play by their rules. But she'd remember who she really was, a soldier, and soldiers didn't surrender. All right. The next morning, a black town car arrived at 8 a.m. sharp. Evelyn wore a simple navy suit, no jewelry, hair pulled back, professional, composed. Sergeant Kim rode with her. Vasquez followed in a second vehicle. The drive to Capitol Hill took 40 minutes. Traffic was heavy. The city hummed with its usual chaos. Lobbyists, staffers, politicians, everyone moving with purpose. They arrived at the Senate office building at 9:15. Security was tight. Metal detectors, ID checks, armed guards. Brennan met her at the entrance. Ready? As I'll ever be. He led her through a maze of corridors, marble floors, high ceilings, portraits of dead senators staring down from the walls, the kind of architecture designed to intimidate. They stopped outside a heavy wooden door. This is it, Brennan said. The committee's already inside. General Marks is testifying first. You'll go after him. How long? His testimony, maybe an hour. Yours will be shorter. Just answer the questions. Don't volunteer information and stay calm. She nodded. Brennan opened the door. The room beyond was large. A long table at the front where the senators sat. Rows of chairs for witnesses and observers. Cameras in the corners, recording everything. Marks was already seated at the witness table. Uniform crisp, stars gleaming. He glanced back, gave her a small nod. She took a seat in the gallery. Senator Patricia Langford, a sharp-eyed woman in her 60s with silver hair and a no-nonsense expression, called the session to order. General Marks, you've provided this committee with evidence of serious misconduct involving Operation Granite Shield, conducted in October 1991. Can you summarize your findings? Marks leaned forward. His voice was steady, clear. Yes, Senator. The operation was based on fabricated intelligence. The target was a civilian village with no hostile activity. The strike was ordered to eliminate witnesses to an illegal arms transfer conducted by U.S. personnel. Murmurs rippled through the room. Another senator, a man in his 50s, balding, skeptical, leaned forward. And you have proof of this? Yes, sir. Mission logs, communications, after-action reports that were altered, all documented on the drive provided by Ms. Evelyn Hayes, a combat medic who was present during the operation. And where did Ms. Hayes obtain this drive? From Laura Killian, a former intelligence analyst who was embedded with the unit. Ms. Killian is now deceased, murdered 3 days ago in what police are calling a robbery. The room went silent. Langford's expression hardened. General, are you suggesting Ms. Killian was killed to silence her? I'm saying the timing is highly suspicious. She was murdered less than 48 hours after she contacted Ms. Hayes with evidence of the cover-up. Another senator spoke up. A woman, younger. And who gave the order for Operation Granite Shield? Marks didn't hesitate. Then Captain Raymond Holt, now Senator Holt. The room exploded. Voices overlapping, questions shouted, cameras flashing. Langford banged her gavel. Order! Order! The noise subsided. General Marks, that's an extremely serious accusation. It's a documented fact, Senator. The order bears his signature, and the subsequent cover-up involved 3 other officers who were under his command at the time: General Thomas Ridley, Admiral Patricia Vance, Colonel Marcus Webb, all of whom have risen to positions where they can protect him. Another senator jumped in. Are you saying there's a conspiracy at the highest levels of our military? I'm saying there's a cover-up, one that's lasted 30 years and one that cost 17 innocent lives. Langford turned to her aide, whispered something, then she looked back at Marks. We'll take a 15-minute recess. When we reconvene, we'll hear from Miss Hayes. The room cleared. Evelyn stood, walked into the hallway. Her legs felt unsteady. Marks joined her. You did great, she said. I just told the truth. Now it's your turn. I'm nervous. Good. It means you care. He put a hand on her shoulder. Just remember, they can't hurt you unless you let them, and you're stronger than all of them combined. She smiled despite herself. Thanks. 15 minutes later, she was called in. She sat at the witness table. The room felt enormous. All eyes on her. Langford spoke first. Ms. Hayes, thank you for being here. I understand this isn't easy. No, ma'am. Can you tell us in your own words what you witnessed during Operation Granite Shield? Evelyn took a breath. Let the memories come. We were inserted at 0400 hours. The village was called Carwall. Small. Maybe 30 structures. We were told the village was being used as a staging area for insurgents, that we'd encounter armed resistance. And did you? No, ma'am. When we arrived, the village was quiet. Families sleeping, a few people awake, elderly, women preparing morning meals, children. What happened next? Captain Holt gave the order to engage. I questioned it. I said we weren't seeing any hostiles. He told me to follow orders or face court-martial. And you followed orders? Evelyn's voice cracked. Yes, we all did. Can you describe what happened? She closed her eyes, opened them. 17 people were killed. Men, women, children. None of them were armed. None of them resisted. They tried to run. We shot them anyway. The room was dead silent. And after the mission? We were debriefed. The reports were filed, and then we were told never to speak of it again. That the mission was classified. That questioning it was treason. Did you comply? Evelyn's hands tightened in her lap. For 30 years, yes, because I thought it was the only way to survive. And now? Now I know that silence isn't survival, it's complicity, and I can't live with that anymore. Langford leaned forward. Ms. Hayes, do you believe Captain Holt, now Senator Holt, knowingly ordered the deaths of innocent civilians? Yes, ma'am, I do. And do you believe he's been covering it up ever since? Yes. Him and everyone who benefited from protecting him. One final question. Why come forward now? Evelyn looked at the cameras, at the senators, at the faces watching her. Because Laura Killian died trying to expose the truth. And because there was a boy. His name was Rashid. He was 10 years old. I held him while he died. And for 30 years, I've carried his death with me. I can't bring him back. but I can make sure his death meant something, that it wasn't just forgotten. Her voice broke on the last word. Langford nodded slowly. Thank you, Ms. Hayes. That will be all. Evelyn stood, walked out of the room on legs that barely held her. But she'd done it. She'd told the truth, Rashid's truth. And it was out there now, permanent, undeniable. The fallout was immediate. Within an hour, every major news outlet was running the story. Senator Holt accused of ordering massacre. Combat medic testifies before Senate committee. Holt's office released a statement denying everything, calling the accusations baseless, claiming Marks had fabricated evidence and Evelyn was mentally unstable. But the damage was done. By evening, 3 major donors had pulled their support from Holt's campaign. 2 allies in the Senate had publicly distanced themselves, and the Inspector General's office had announced a formal criminal investigation into Operation Granite Shield. Evelyn watched it all unfold from her apartment. Kim and Vasquez were still outside. Marks called every hour with updates. It's working, he said on the 3rd call. He's crumbling. It's not over yet. No, but it will be. That night, Evelyn couldn't sleep. She sat on the couch, Oscar curled beside her, the television on mute showing endless loops of her testimony. Her phone rang. Amanda Torres, the reporter from the Washington Herald. Ms. Hayes, I wanted to give you a heads up. We're running the full story tomorrow. Front page, everything you testified to, plus the documents General Marks provided. Good. I also wanted to ask, are you prepared for what comes next? Holt's people are going to come after you, hard. Let them. You're braver than most. I'm not brave. I'm just tired of being quiet. Amanda was silent for a moment. That might be the same thing. They hung up. Evelyn stared at the ceiling. Tomorrow, the world would see everything, and there'd be no going back. 2 days later, Senator Raymond Holt held a press conference. Evelyn watched it live. Holt stood at a podium, cameras flashing, reporters shouting questions. He looked smaller somehow, diminished. I want to address the recent allegations, Kiko, he said, voice steady but strained. These claims are false, they are politically motivated, and they are an attack on my character and my decades of service to this country. A reporter called out, Senator, do you deny ordering Operation Granite Shield? I deny any wrongdoing. The mission was conducted based on intelligence provided at the time. I followed my orders, and I stand by my actions as a soldier. What about the evidence provided by General Marks? The so-called evidence has been manipulated. It's been taken out of context by individuals with a personal vendetta against me. And what about Evelyn Hayes? Do you deny her testimony? Holt's jaw tightened. His eyes flashed with something ugly. Miss Hayes is a troubled individual. She's suffering from PTSD. She's been manipulated by people who want to destroy me politically. I have nothing but sympathy for her condition. Evelyn's blood boiled, but she didn't move, because she knew the truth, and so did everyone watching. The press conference lasted 20 minutes. When it ended, Holt walked off without taking more questions. But the cracks were showing. His voice had wavered near the end. His hands had shaken when he gripped the podium. He was scared, and he should be. 3 days later, the Inspector General released a preliminary report. Evelyn was at work when Marks called. Turn on the news. She found a television in the break room. Turned it on. A press conference. The Inspector General standing at a podium. After a thorough review of the evidence provided by General Samuel Marks and corroborated by witness testimony, we have determined that Operation Granite Shield was conducted based on deliberately fabricated intelligence. The strike targeted non-combatants, and the subsequent cover-up involved multiple high-ranking officers who are still serving in positions of authority. The camera flashes were blinding. We are recommending immediate criminal charges against Senator Raymond Holt, General Thomas Ridley, Admiral Patricia Vance, and Colonel Marcus Webb for conspiracy, obstruction of justice, and violations of the Uniform Code of Military Justice. All 4 have been placed on administrative leave pending further investigation. The room erupted. Evelyn sat down hard. It was real. It was actually happening. Marks called back. Did you see? I saw. It's over, Evelyn. We won. But it didn't feel like winning. It felt like finally being able to breathe after drowning for 30 years. Holt's campaign collapsed overnight. His remaining allies abandoned him. His donors demanded refunds. His political career was finished. And on a cold morning in early December, federal agents arrived at his home in Georgetown. The footage was everywhere. Holt in handcuffs, being led to a waiting car, his face pale, his eyes hollow. The man who'd commanded respect and fear reduced to just another criminal. Evelyn watched it from her apartment. She didn't feel triumphant, just tired and relieved. A week later, Garrett showed up at the hospital again. Evelyn was in the break room when Rebecca found her. That guy's back, from before. Evelyn sighed. Send him up. Garrett arrived 5 minutes later. He looked different, thinner, the arrogance completely gone, replaced with something that looked like humility. I saw everything, he said. The testimony, the trial. All of it. Everyone did. I wanted to say, I'm sorry for what I said, for what I did, for not seeing you. You saw what you wanted to see. He nodded. You're right. I thought the uniform made me special, that my service meant I was better than everyone else. But I was wrong. Why are you here, Garrett? Because I'm still at the VA, and every day I work with people like you, people who served quietly, who didn't brag, who just did the work. And I realized that's what real service looks like. Evelyn looked at him, really looked. What do you want from me? Nothing. I just wanted you to know that I get it now, that I'm trying to be better. Good. Keep trying. He nodded, turned to leave. Garrett. He looked back. It's not about being perfect. It's about showing up every day, even when it's hard. I'll remember that. He left, and Evelyn thought maybe, just maybe, he actually would. 2 months later, Evelyn was called to testify again. Federal court, Holt's criminal trial. She wore the same navy suit, sat in the same kind of witness chair. But this time, Holt was there, sitting at the defense table, looking smaller than she remembered. His expensive suit couldn't hide the defeat in his eyes. The prosecutor was a woman named Jennifer Park, sharp, relentless. Ms. Hayes, can you tell the court what Captain Holt said immediately before ordering the strike on Carwall Village? Evelyn looked at Holt. Their eyes met, and she saw it. The thing she'd been looking for. Not remorse, not guilt, just calculation. Even now he was trying to figure out how to win. He said, engage all targets, no survivors, and if anyone asks, they were all armed. Did you question that order? Yes. I said we weren't seeing any weapons, that these were families. What did he say? He said if I didn't follow orders, he'd have me court-martialed for insubordination and treason. And you believed him? Yes. He was my commanding officer. I was 23 years old. I believed him. What happened after the strike? We filed reports. Captain Holt personally reviewed mine. He told me to change it, to state that all targets were armed combatants who'd fired on us first. Did you change it? Evelyn's voice dropped. Yes. I was scared. I thought if I didn't, I'd go to prison. And now? Now I know I should have gone to prison rather than lie. The courtroom was silent. Park nodded. Thank you, Ms. Hayes. No further questions. Holt's lawyer stood, a man in his 60s, silver hair, expensive watch. Ms. Hayes, isn't it true that you've struggled with PTSD for decades? Yes. And isn't it possible that your memories of these events have been distorted by that condition? Evelyn looked at him. My memories are crystal clear. I can tell you the name of every person who died, where they fell, what they were wearing. I remember all of it, and I wish I didn't. But you didn't come forward for 30 years. Why should we believe you now? Because I was protecting myself then, and I'm protecting them now. Them? The people who died, the ones whose voices were taken. I'm giving them back. The lawyer had no response to that. The trial lasted 3 weeks. Testimony from dozens of witnesses, documents, photos, evidence that painted a picture impossible to deny. Holt was found guilty on all counts. Conspiracy, obstruction of justice, murder under color of authority, sentenced to 25 years in federal prison. No possibility of parole? Ridley, Vance, and Webb were also convicted, stripped of their ranks, dishonorably discharged, prison sentences ranging from 15 to 20 years. It was over, really over. Spring came to the city. The trees bloomed, the air warmed, life continued. Evelyn returned to her routine. Morning shifts at Mercy Ridge. Patience, charts, the steady rhythm of saving lives. But something had changed. People looked at her differently now. Not with pity, not with curiosity, with respect. Nurses who'd worked alongside her for years suddenly saw her clearly. The quiet competence, the steady hands, the voice that could calm any crisis. One afternoon, she was in the café when a young woman approached, mid-20s, hijab, nervous eyes. "Excuse me, are you Evelyn Hayes?" "I am." "I just wanted to say thank you. My grandfather, he was in Carwall. He survived. He's lived in America for 20 years, and because of you, people finally know what happened to his village, his family. He wanted me to tell you that their names matter now, that they're not forgotten." Evelyn's throat tightened. "What was your grandfather's name?" Hamid Nazari. I remember him. He had a white beard. He was sitting outside when we arrived." The woman's eyes filled with tears. "That's him. He still has nightmares, but knowing the truth is out, it helps. I'm glad." The woman smiled, walked away. Evelyn sat alone, and for the first time in 30 years, the weight on her chest felt lighter. Not gone. It would never be gone, but lighter. 6 months after the trial, General Marks was promoted to 5-star general, the first in 20 years. He called Evelyn the day it was announced. "I wanted you to hear it from me first." "Congratulations, Sam." "I couldn't have done it without you." "Yes, you could have." "Maybe, but it wouldn't have meant as much." He paused. "What's next for you?" Evelyn looked around her apartment, Oscar asleep on the couch, her book on the table, the quiet life she'd built. "I'm right where I need to be." "You sure?" "Because the Army's been asking about you. They want to honor you, formally, for your service." "I don't need honors." "I know, but maybe other people need to give them." She thought about that. "I'll think about it. That's all I ask." They talked for a few more minutes, then he hung up. Evelyn set the phone down, walked to the window. The city stretched out below, lights beginning to flicker on as evening settled in. She'd spent so long trying to forget, to bury the past, to be invisible. But invisibility wasn't safety. It was erasure, and she was done being erased. Dun-dun. 3 months later, Evelyn stood in front of a room full of nursing students. The invitation had come from the university. A lecture series on trauma care and ethical decision-making. She'd almost declined, but then she'd remembered Rashid, and she'd said yes. The auditorium was packed, 200 students, young, eager, ready to save the world. She looked out at them. "I'm going to tell you something they don't teach in textbooks," she began. "Being a nurse isn't just about medicine. It's about bearing witness to pain, to suffering, to things people would rather forget." She paused. "And sometimes bearing witness means speaking up, even when it's hard, even when it costs you everything, because silence doesn't protect anyone. It just lets the wrong people win." The room was quiet. "You're going to face choices in your careers between what's easy and what's right, between keeping your head down and standing up, between protecting yourself and protecting others, and I can't tell you which to choose." She looked at them, really looked. "But I can tell you this. The people you save won't remember your grades, or your certifications, or how fast you could start an IV. They'll remember that you saw them, that you fought for them, that you refused to look away when it mattered most." She took a breath. "So don't look away, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts, because that's when your voice matters most." She told them about Carwall, about the choices she'd made, about the 30 years of silence, and about finally finding her voice. When she finished, the room was silent. Then someone started clapping. then someone else, then the whole room. Standing ovation. Evelyn felt tears in her eyes, not from pride, from hope, for them, for the future they'd build. One patient at a time, one truth at a time. After the lecture, students lined up to talk to her, to ask questions, to thank her. One young man, tall, serious, with kind eyes, waited until the end. Ms. Hayes, my name is Marcus. I'm in my second year, and I just wanted to say, my uncle served in Iraq. He came home with PTSD, wouldn't talk about what happened, and last year, he took his own life. Evelyn's chest tightened. I'm so sorry. Thank you, but the reason I'm telling you is, after he died, we found journals, pages and pages of things he'd witnessed, things he'd been ordered to do, things he couldn't live with. Marcus's voice cracked. And I keep thinking, if he'd had someone like you, someone who'd shown him that speaking up was possible, maybe he'd still be here. Evelyn reached out, squeezed his shoulder. You can be that person, for someone else. That's how we break the cycle. He nodded, wiped his eyes. I will. I promise. He walked away, and Evelyn stood there, in the empty auditorium, feeling like maybe, just maybe, Rashid's death had meant something after all. A year later, the army held a formal ceremony. Evelyn had tried to decline, but Marx had been insistent. They're giving you the soldier's medal, he'd said, for heroism not involving combat, for standing up when it mattered. I don't deserve a medal for telling the truth. You deserve a hell of a lot more than that. So she went. The ceremony was small, private, just a few dozen people. Military brass, fellow veterans, some of the nursing students from her lecture. Marx presented the medal himself. Evelyn Hayes served with distinction as a combat medic in some of the most dangerous operations this country has ever conducted, he said, but her greatest act of courage didn't happen on a battlefield. It happened in a hearing room, when she stood up and told the truth, even when that truth was dangerous, even when it cost her. She reminded us that honor isn't about following orders blindly. It's about following your conscience, even when it's the harder path. He pinned the medal to her jacket. Thank you for your service, all of it. The room applauded. Evelyn stood there, feeling the weight of the medal. It felt heavy, but right. Later, at the reception, she stood off to the side, watching people mingle. Rebecca found her. You okay? Yeah, just processing. It's a big deal. You saved lives. Not just the people in that hospital, but everyone who'll think twice before staying silent now. Evelyn smiled. I hope so. They stood together, quiet, comfortable. And Evelyn realized something. She wasn't alone anymore. She had people, a community, a purpose. She'd found her voice, and she wasn't going to lose it again. That night, Evelyn went home, fed Oscar, made tea, sat on the couch with her book. Her phone buzzed. A message from Hamid Nazari's granddaughter. My grandfather wanted you to have this. Attached was a photo. An old man, white beard, kind eyes, holding a picture of a village, before the war, before the strike. Families, children playing, life. Below the photo, a message. He says to tell you, the truth doesn't bring them back, but it gives them dignity, and that matters. Thank you. Evelyn stared at the photo, tears streaming down her face, not from sadness, from relief. She'd carried their deaths for 30 years. Now she could carry their memory instead, with dignity, with purpose, with truth. She set the phone down, opened her book, and read. Outside, the city hummed, life continuing, people living, working, loving, fighting. And somewhere in that vast machinery of humanity, someone else was finding their voice, standing up, speaking out, refusing to look away. Because that's what Evelyn had shown them, that one person could make a difference, that silence was a choice, and so was courage. That the strongest warriors don't always look like warriors. Sometimes they look like nurses, like teachers, like ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And Evelyn Hayes had done exactly that. Not because she wanted to be a hero, but because someone had to stand up. And she'd refused to look away. The past couldn't be changed, The people who died couldn't be brought back, but their story had been told. Their names had been spoken, and that mattered. It would always matter. Because truth doesn't die, it waits for someone brave enough to carry it, and Evelyn had carried it all the way home, to a place where silence no longer had power, where the dead could finally rest, and the living could finally heal. One voice at a time, one truth at a time, one person willing to stand up and say, "Not on my watch, not anymore, never again."